St. Paul, Minnesota has been the hotbed of amateur hockey this weekend, and this afternoon it's the first semifinal playoff game between the Northern Michigan Wildcats and the Wisconsin Badgers, live from the Civic Center in St. Paul. Hello everyone, I'm Frank Mazzacco. This is the second consecutive year of WCHA playoff activity, the second consecutive year that it's been hosted here in St. Paul, and it's becoming a tremendous hockey event. We're happy to be bringing the action to you. My broadcast partner for this game and the rest of the tournament series is Wally Shaver. And Wally, our first matchup is between two teams that are very evenly matched. Should be a great game.
I think actually all four teams that are in this Final Four tournament, Frank, are very evenly matched. You get into a one-game playoff situation like we have here. It's not a two-game total goals. It's not a best of three. But when you get into one game, anything at all can happen. The teams are going to have to play up to their best abilities. Not only the key players, but I think what could separate some of the games here in this series is getting some of these marginal players that come through with the big goals.
First game between the Wildcats and the Badgers from Wisconsin. These two teams went to overtime 3 times this year.
Yes, they did. They're very evenly matched. They play very fast-paced games that have not had a lot of penalty minutes, and I think you'll see that in the playoff hockey.
If there's a favored team, it would be Minnesota, and they're going to be playing tonight.
They have to be seeded number 1 since they did win the regular season championship. Doug Woog doesn't like that kind of pressure, but either way, he's going to be meeting one of these two teams tomorrow.
Joining us in our telecast from the Civic Center is Jim Rich. He's waiting at ice level. Had a chance to talk to a couple of the coaches before the game.
Thanks very much, Frank. This game is definitely going to be a goaltender's duel. Curtis Joseph for the Badgers. He won the WCHA MVP award last night, and he has not lost to Northern Michigan this year. Meanwhile, you have Billy Pye for Northern Michigan. He was outstanding this year as he was the league's workhorse, appearing in 30 games, and he won 23 of them. Now, this is the 5th meeting between these two teams, and before the game, Coach Rick Comley told his players just what they had to look out for when they went against the Badgers and who they have to stop tonight.
We've got to keep our eyes on the line of Rolick, McDonald, and Mike. Not sure whether I'm going to play Dino against them every time or not. I might. We get the last change, so we'll see what happens with that. The next point line is Thagis or Shuchuk, cancel. So we just got to see what kind of impact they have on us early to dictate what we're going to do. We're both very good lines. McDonald will really come on, and we're going to have to watch him. Everybody's aware of Stanton, how well he shoots the puck. Right defenseman, our left winger, has got to be aware, and he will pinch to the slot constantly. He's dangerous either coming in or getting the puck at the blue line. To be aware. Joseph, you know his style. There's nothing but him. Anything in tight, he's going to put the stick down low, and he's got to go crossbar in tight. Other than that, we need screens and rebounds. They were
Under Comley's quiet leadership, the Wildcats are the most improved team in the league. They'll be going against the Badgers, the champions of last year's playoff competition. Our face-off is coming up.
WCHA playoff coverage is being brought to you in part by Avant Gardens. For the finest in floral arrangements, plants, and gifts for all occasions, choose Avant Gardens and FTD Floors. Wojin Window and Door Corporation in Marquette. Call for a free estimate on new construction or window replacement. And by EQ Muffler Shop, serving Marquette County in a family-owned related business for 52 years. EQ Muffler Shop, 250 East Hampton Street, Marquette.
1,500 square miles.
God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home,
What are we coming out with?
sweet home.
Did you have a tight shot of the 3 officials?
Marquette County, Michigan. 1,800 square miles of woods and marshes, rivers, trails, and mud. In fact, off-roading doesn't get much better than this. So when you see people bouncing around out here in the Nissan Hardbody 4x4, you gotta figure they're having a really great time. Not necessarily. The Nissan Hardbody 4x4, official truck of the Marquette Sheriff's Search and Rescue Team.
Hello, I'm Andy from UP Appliance and Wood Stove Company in Marquette, and I'd like to show you our best-selling wood stove this season. This is the 1100 HT from Earth Stove, and it features a large ash pan, stay clean glass, solid brass door, it's EPA approved, and best of all, it's on sale for $750 through the end of the month. In fact, all Earth Stoves are on sale through the end of the month at UP Appliance and Wood Stove Company, North 3rd, Marquette.
Suburb of Toronto has had a sterling performance. He was named Freshman of the Year, plus the first-team All-Star in the WCHA. Our referee for today's game is Greg Shepard. He has also got a special wireless mic on him, so occasionally during the afternoon we're going to pick up some of Mr. Shepard's comments. He'll be helped on the lines by Mike Talk and Mark LaChapelle. Right now, Greg Shepard is calling the two centermen to the middle of the rink. Dean Antos of Northern Michigan will face off against freshman Doug McDonald of Wisconsin to begin the second annual WCHA Championship.
All right, sticks down, and Greg Shepard drops the puck. We're underway as the Badgers control Marco Siki, shooting it into the Wildcat zone to our right. Now Northern Michigan plays it out to Dean Antos at center ice, a near 2-on-1, but they couldn't move it up ice, and it finally winds up in an offside. Just 14 seconds into the game.
I don't know if it was those clear boards that maybe fooled him. He all of a sudden ran into the wall. Dean Antos, a big spark plug on this team, 10th in the league in scoring this past year.
Antos getting ready for the faceoff. He'll be going against a freshman, Doug McDonald, who as a freshman has been elevated to the Badgers' front line. McDonald working with Steve Rollick and John Weiss, the leading goal scorer in the WCHA, on his wing. Now here's outstanding defenseman Paul Stanton, an All-American last year. Got it to center, and then it's shot back in by Darrell Olson. Play just underway as Osiki has it, ran into a traffic jam. Plandowski centers it, but it's taken away by Doug McDonald, the center. Here's Stanton in the near corner for the Badgers. Got it to the line. Jammed out of the zone by Bice and shot back by Olson. Now Rollick rolls it ahead, but it's intercepted by Pete Podrasky, who gets it ahead to his partner Olson for a long shot. First shot of the game was off target, but Joseph was taking no chances there.
We're going to see a lot of pressure applied by Northern Michigan. You're taking a look at Jeff Sauer, coach of the Badgers. In his 18th year, the dean of coaches in the WCHA. He's in his 7th year as head coach of the Wisconsin club. He says his team right now is a lot better than it was in the beginning of the season in October when they had some tough times.
Right from the draw, a hard shot fired by Podrasky was deflected and broken up. Now chased over to the far side by Tom Sagasor for Wisconsin. Sagasor leaves it in the corner for Rob Andringa. He's checked. Dixon Ward is there, or rather Ed Ward is there, and finally the Badgers gain control. Sagasor shot it to the line, but it comes right back to him. Now he'll haul it in again. Flips it to the far side for the first Wisconsin shot by Shuchek. It goes high. It's popped in front of the net by Sean Hill, but deflects wide again. Here's Sagasor. Checked at the line by Dallas Drake, who tipped it ahead for Ward. Ward slips it in, and both teams begin to make changes. Ward with a check in the corner, but the Badgers get it loose to Sagasor. He's got Shuchek in front. Now Sagasor goes after the loose puck, but it's swept away by Ty. Thrown to the far side for Phil Berger. He is checked. Dallas Drake now gets it to center ice. Podrasky got it in, but it was shot right back out. Now Sagasor checked at center ice by Porter. Badgers recruit behind the net. Rob Mendel shooting it around, but it's deflected. Loose at the side. Play to the far blue line for Sukarov to shoot. Out comes loose in the corner again to Berger. Bill Berger looking for Olsen. That pass is deflected, and it's flipped to center ice just a little bit too far for Kurt Fernando. Now a long shot from the blue line by Wisconsin's John Helgeson. The puck goes out of play, and we'll have a stoppage.
Rick Comley, last night named Coach of the Year. The WCHA, his team finished in a 6th place tie, but was seeded 7th last year for playoff format. This year they finished 2nd overall in the WCHA. Congratulations to him in his 13th year as a head coach on the Coach of the Year honors. And one good opportunity deflected off Northern defenseman John Good, just off target.
Play back in at center ice. Battled for by the Badgers. Joe Decker, number 14. It's flipped into the Northern Michigan zone. Now John Good shoots it around, blocked at the far point by Samandel. Pile up again for it. It squirts free in the slot. And McDonald trying to tee it up, and it rolled away. Now it's brought in by Scott. Scott flipping it to the side. Jacobson gets it to Berger. Berger's checked to the far side by Mendel, and the Badgers gain control and haul it to center ice. Samandel drops it back for Nelson. His shot deflected into the corner. There's a quick, hard shot fired by Koss. That goes off a skate and into the corner. Back to Koss, who centers it. Finally, it rolls through to the near board. Very tentative play here. A lot of checking, very close checking, but we expected that from two defensive teams. Now a 2-on-1 for the Wildcats. Jacobson centering to Berger. A goal! Joseph got a piece of it, but the Wildcats get on the board first and lead 1-0.
If you're a Wildcat fan, the one you want on a 2-on-1 situation is Phil Berger. He scored 7 hat tricks last year in the WCHA. Didn't get any this year, but that doesn't mean he still hasn't got the shooting eye. He proved it right here, taking a beautiful centering pass coming off the stick of Troy Jacobson and connected on a one-time shot immediately, barely off the pipe, but enough to get entirely across the goal line. And Northern draws first blood in the WCHA Final Four playoff.
That was a very tentative 2-on-1 rush up the ice, and finally Berger all alone snapped it in to grab the goal for Phil Berger, his team leading 25th of the year. 1-0 in favor of Northern Michigan. Osiki from center ice shooting it in. Rims the boards to the near corner. Turns out McDonald was jammed up, and now the Wildcats with a quick outlet pass get it ahead to Good. Now the drop pass from Good is deflected away and brought up ice in a 3-man break by John Bice. Bice flips it over to McDonald. He centers it for Bice, and it comes right through. Out John Good. Tapped into the Wildcats, flipped it to center. Last year All-American defenseman Paul Stanton has it. Stanton for the Badgers. Flipped it ahead to Rollock. That's broken up. Good checking there by Brad Warenka, and it's shot in by the Wildcats, but icing is the call.
Phil Berger gets the goal, his 25th of the year. Jacobson the assist, and there's Mr. Berger. Last night, amongst the many award recipients was Phil Berger, as he was named to the 2nd All-Star team in the WCHA. Berger, a senior, is out of Dearborn, Michigan. Defense, number 24, Osiki tried to pinch in, but the puck had popped loose up along the side. And you see that easy 2-on-1. Jacobson tossing it over to Berger. Actually fired it towards the middle of the net. Joseph almost having time to get back across and stop the shot.
Right from the face-off, the puck comes into the near corner. It's shot around by Dean Antos. The Wildcats will be allowed some time to set up. Darrell Olsen back behind the net. He watched by Chris Hansel in front. Now here's Sean Hill throwing it up ice too far for Antos, and an icing call here. Once again against Northern Michigan. We're still early in period number 1 at the Civic Center in St. Paul, with the Wildcats leading the Badgers 1-0.
Casa Calabria wishes the Hockey Wildcats good luck in the Final Four. Casa Calabria for fine Italian cuisine, 1106 North 3rd Street, Marquette. Koski's Collision, we meet by accident. Collision and car cleaning specialist since 1975. 251 County Road, 492 Marquette. And DNN Savings Bank, your full-service banking center in Marquette. DNN supports Wildcat hockey.
Shutchuk for Wisconsin. Shutchuk, a junior. Waved Antos out, and he'll be replaced by Daryl Plandowski, a sophomore for the Wildcats. Here's Chris Hansel. A turnaround shot, hard but wide. Now kept alive by Sean Hill. Far boards for Shutchuk. He's jammed up there with Eric Lamarck, clear to the blue line. Kept in at the line by Andringa, but then it hopped right back out to Tom Sagasor. Here's Sagasor on his backhand, flipping it in. Daryl Olson, first man of the puck. First team all WCHA last night for Daryl Olson. He's jammed up. Dean Antos right there, and we'll have a face-off.
Daryl Olson, named as a first-team All-Star in last night's award ceremonies. Outstanding year for Daryl Olson, senior out of Calgary, Alberta. Tied for 12th in league scoring this year. Highest scoring defenseman in the WCHA. Very good with the puck. What I find real interesting about him, coming from Western Canada, he loves calf roping events and rodeo.
Well, his coach, Rick Comley, very high on him and his partner, Petrasky. Comley says those two are the best defensive pair in the league. And now we've got a puck played with a glove hand by the Badgers, and Greg Shepard, you can hear, says outside the blue line. Shepard from West St. Paul, Minnesota. John Helgeson for the Badgers. Another freshman has contributed a lot for the team.
I wonder how crowds can affect some teams. When you're a Wisconsin Badger, you're used to 8,300 people a game, which was their average this past year back at the Dane County Coliseum. When you take a look at some wide shots of the crowd today, don't feel like there's not a full house here. All the seats in here are almost all paid for. Just some no-shows, but excellent attendance this year at the tournament.
Wildcats leading 1-0. Now Dallas Drake hauls the puck out at center ice. Jammed up hard on the near boards by Sean Hill. Puck knocked free, and it rolls back into Northern Michigan territory. John Good has to go after it, and he's being pressured on the play by Kurt Simando. Here's Good now. Skates it up the middle. Flips it to Dallas Drake, who breaks through the defense. He got around one, but he could not get around Helgeson. The Wildcats regroup at center ice. Bill Sukharov for the Wildcats, flipping it in. Curtis Joseph lays it around, looking for Helgeson. It gets away from him. Petrasky having trouble with it. It was at least still Muir. And now Simando knocked down. Badgers fans calling for a penalty there as Stanton shoots it, goes into the corner. Marco Siki centers it, and it just got away from Simando, who was cutting in. Wildcats try to clear, but it was blocked by Greg Koss, and now they lob it to center ice. Sukharov battling for it. Jacobson is there. Here's Jacobson dropping it back. Now Sukharov shooting it over on the far side, and it deflected to Wisconsin territory. Marco Siki pops it in front of the net. Here's Berger teeing it up. His shot skipped wide. I'm not sure Joseph saw it all the way through. Now Jacobson jammed up on the far side. Stanton comes back to help out to get the loose puck. And the Wildcats get it. It's centered, and then the pass to Olson was intercepted. Racing to center ice is Brent Kurtz. He sets up a 3-on-2. Now Poss flipping it in deeper. Don Granato is there. Poss plays it to the line, and Dringa shooting. Stick save by Pye. And here come the Wildcats, where they're exploding out of their own end. This is 3-on-2. Jacobson centering it. And that was broken up, and he gets it right back. And Joseph makes a big save on Troy Jacobson. Granato jams it out of the zone. Petrasky now over to Olson. He hits the line, lets it go, and that was deflected wide. And Dringa on the far boards. Now it comes loose. Kevin Scott is there for the Wildcats. And finally, Brent Kurtz has it for Wisconsin. Throwing it all the way up ice, looking for John Bice, but he's covered. Now Olson shooting it around. On the far boards, Doug McDonald fires it right across the goal mouth. And the Wildcats get it again. Brown in center ice. Long shot is offside as Doug Garrow fired. And will face it off at center. Busy goaltender.
Yes, he has been. Northern Michigan putting on a furious attack. Frank, you made one comment about the fact that explosive, and that is exactly what Northern Michigan is. Sometimes they've had problems defensively, but they can score a lot of goals. Here's a couple of shots that come in on Joseph. This first one being taken by Dwight Jacobson, and the rebound went to the far side, but Joseph has been one busy guy so far in this game. Kurt Joseph, one of the most highly recruited goaltenders out of Canada last year, decided to come to Wisconsin because he really believed in an education.
Well, the pro offers should be flying his way after the outstanding year that he's had. Might cause Jeff Sauer to have to recruit Curtis Joseph all over again.
You're right.
Now, John Good battles for the puck for the Northern Michigan Wildcats. They lead in the game 1-0 on the 25th goal of the year by Phil Berger. Now the puck played ahead for Wisconsin. Looks for it is Doug McDonald. He centers it, but Kevin Scott is there to take it away. And again, the Wildcats wheel right out of their own end. Here's Scott in the slot, bump, but shoots. Oh, Joseph, a sizzling glove hand save.
It's the kind of save you want your goaltender to come up with, Frank. He keeps him in the game right now. 11:21 still to go here in the opening period, but this is a key save. Look at the breakout here is excellent by Northern Michigan. Once they cross into the Wisconsin zone, Scott makes a nifty move here to get himself open into the slot. And he has a wide open shot. Excellent save as he's trying to go top shelf. Joseph keeps his team in the game right here. Wisconsin at times has had a little bit of a problem defending back in their own end of the rink.
Great saves percentage. Not only was the leader in the WCHA, but his overall saves percentage. That's Greg Shepard. He was talking to Chris Tansel and to Daryl Plandowski. They were encroaching on the circle a little bit.
And they didn't listen because they moved bad boys.
Shot out at center ice and then flipped in. 11 minutes to go in period number 1. Northern Michigan leading 1-0 here at the Civic Center in St. Paul. This is Mark Osiki. Out to Gary Shuchuk, but that's broken up by Eric Lamarck, and he jams it in. Then he was jammed up by Osiki. Osiki, a big defenseman, and he can throw his weight around. Landowski at center ice for the Wildcats. Flipping it in on the right side, it's deflected. Paul Stanton goes back to pick it up. Stanton is spun around, or spins around, and the stick of Lamarck got in the way. No penalty. And the puck played all the way back into Wildcat territory. First man to get it is Phil Sukharov. Over to Olsen. Oh, his pass is picked off by Tansel, who centers it. And the centering pass was just a little bit behind. At the near point, here's Hill, a blast. That was steered away by Pye in traffic. Zagasor pinned up on the boards, and Drake lobs the puck high in the air to get it out at center. Now Andringa trying to weave his way in. He backhands it into Wildcat territory, offside, however. And so there will be no shot by Chris Tansel.
Tansel was winding up but couldn't get it away. His teammate on the left side was offside. He never had a chance to see who it was. One thing I found interesting, we just saw Jeff Sauer there, but he feels that the WCHA deserves to have 3 teams going into the NCAA 12-team tournament, which will commence in 2 weeks. And he says North Dakota is not out of the picture. They had an excellent season. That was a big save for Pye. Tansel moved right into the net, crashing the crease. And it forced Pye to come out. And I don't know how he found room to get his stick on the puck, but he did.
Here's Joe Decker battling for a loose puck, centered it, but Good was there to knock it away. Now it's shot away from Kurt Simandl, a 3-year letterman. Now this would be his 4th year as a letterman for the Badgers. Throws it up on the boards here. Greg Shepard calling out the location of the faceoff.
Sean Hill has had an outstanding year for Wisconsin. I think a big surprise. He's just a freshman playing high school hockey up in Duluth East. Very good passer. He's also a Mr. Hockey finalist, which is the annual award that goes to the top high school player in the state of Minnesota. That was from last year. He's been really counted on heavily for the Badgers this season, and I think has been a very pleasant surprise to all who have watched him.
Brad Wawrinka for the Wildcats behind the net, played it up on the far boards. Now the Badgers' Rob Andringa gets it in and shoots it in. Jeff Golicki battling for it. It's cup free as Simandl tries to center. At least Joe Decker tried to center. Now it's frozen.
Joe Decker, 2 goals and 3 assists in 29 games. Didn't see a lot of ice time last year. Got a little bit more this year. He's in his sophomore season. I think he's the kind of guy that's being nurtured along slowly. You'll probably see him play a much more prominent role for the Badgers next hockey season. Gaining some very good experience, though, and he comes from a winning program at Kennedy High School in Minnesota, where they were state champs 2 years ago. So he's got that kind of desire that you want to have in a hockey player.
Brett Kurtz digging in for the Badgers for this face-off against Dallas Drake halfway through the first period. It's a 1-0 Wildcat lead, and the Badgers have only had 2 shots on goal through half a period.
Let's go!
And they are taking their time. Now Shepard comes over.
Put somebody in there, let's go!
You tell him, Greg. Could be here all day. We'll never get the 8 o'clock game started.
And from the draw, Tansel plays it to Stanton for a shot, high and wide. Ward goes after it. Ed Ward for the Wildcats at center ice. Checked pretty hard by Kurtz. And Greg Posh shoots it back into Wildcat territory. Circling is Dallas Drake, and then he drops it back. Now John Good, given plenty of room, comes to center and throws it from center ice all the way down. There'll be no icing here. Joseph has to play it around. Ward goes after it, tied up by the right winger Posh.
Move it! Move it!
It's kicked free.
Let's go, move it now, let's go!
And that is not a fan who paid money to see this game. That's Greg Shepard. Landowski now playing it ahead to Drake, who rolls it in front, and Stanton cuts across to get it, while the Wildcat player Berger was upended going after the puck. Back to center ice, Stanton fires! That's off the tip of the glove of Pye. He comes out to play it away from Granato, and finally it bounces to the Cats, who have a 3-on-2. Warenka, the defenseman, flips it over, then heads for the net, and the centering pass hits a skate. Heavy check in the far corner thrown by McDonald for Wisconsin. And the Badgers gain control. This period, a lot of times, has been like a great arm wrestling match. Not much give and take. But the Wildcats have seemed to have had the easier time getting out of their own end.
Yes, they have, and because of that, Frank, they've controlled the play tonight, too.
Ice brought it in, but it shot away from him. There's going to be an icing call here with 8:02 left to go in the first period. It's the Wildcats 1, the Badgers nothing. We'll be right back.
ESPN opens the door on NCAA basketball. Slam jammed with color and excitement. March Madness begins as top teams vie for conference titles during championship week. Then it's time for the big dance. 2 full days of first-round action of the NCAA tournament. And a great college basketball tradition comes to ESPN. The National Invitation Tournament. The color and excitement of March Madness stands out live on ESPN.
Trip over for Madison. The Badger fans are some of the best of the WCHA, but their team trails it right now.
Good luck, Jim. Badgers have been known to be vicious, but Bucky, I guess, is a pretty good one. Great school spirit at Wisconsin. Boy, the rivalry among Wisconsin and just about every other team in the league is fierce, but I think it's largely due to the spirit from those people from Madison.
Don't count out that band over there either.
Oh, that band is really awesome. All right, face-off, won by the Badgers, and Bice with a point-blank shot right on. He gets the rebound and then shoots. It trickles wide. Here's John Bice to get it again. In front of the net, he centered it, and Rollick's shot comes rolling in on Pye, who faced 2 shots in the first half of the game of the period. Now Pye faces 2 right from this face-off.
We talk all the time about who you put out there in key situations, and face-offs are always key, especially in your own zone. But Wisconsin wins the draw. Pull back, and lots of shots. Everything happens now down in the Wisconsin or the Northern Michigan zone, but Steve Rollick doing the job as he took the face-off, won it. Now, he's not going to take the draw this time. Moving into the circle is going to be Gary Shuchuk.
If you're interested in numbering lines, this combination has the Badgers number 2 line against the Wildcats number 4 line with Phil Brown, Garrow, and Kevin Scott. Shuchuk in the face-off circle. The draw won by the Wildcats, and now a pass over to the near side, deflected up out of play.
Face-offs really take on a prominent position when it's in your own zone. That's Chris Nelson, the freshman out of Los Angeles. Yep, hockey hotbed. Although he did play for Rochester in the United States Junior Hockey League last year and was a first-team All-Star. They've got a blue chipper sitting there in Chris Nelson.
Now we're being just a little extra particular about how we drop the puck on these face-offs today. And Phil Brown gets ready for the draw again. Shootchuck skating in for the Badgers. Now they came in a little early once more. Brown's out, Scott's in. Scott won the last draw. This one goes to the Badgers, and it hops back out to center ice. And it's shot in by Chris Nelson. High leaves it for Sukarov. There's Brad Warenka, number 5 for the Wildcats. Had a stomach muscle injury earlier this year, which kept him out of some games. Back behind the net, here's Chris Cancel. Cancel for the Badgers. Wisconsin trailing 1-0 here in the first period. Cancel, good stick handling, can't get past Warenka, however. Sukarov has it and shoots it to the far side. Now Warenka to center ice, throwing it ahead for Scott, but it's broken up at the line by Andringa. Onside pass to Shootchuck. He was checked and went sprawling down. Now a loose puck fired right into the pile by Andringa. The Badgers had 2 great chances to score there. It's amazing that they didn't. 1-0 the score. The Wildcats lead at the Civic Center in St. Paul.
Today's coverage of Wildcat hockey is being brought to you in part by First of America Bank. First of America at 5 convenient locations. Member FDIC. Earl's Carpet Shop wishes the best of luck to the Wildcats. For the finest in commercial and residential carpeting needs, stop in at Earl's. 401 West Washington Street, Marquette. Zambon's North Country Sales, Marquette's newest boat and motor dealer. Zambon's, US 41 West Marquette, next to the Marquette Mall.
Coming by Northern Michigan's Bill Berger, but Wisconsin's Gary Shootchuck coming in alone here. Falls over Bill Pye, and after it happens, Bill Pye stays down on the ground, and he does a big scramble out in front of the net. Watch it get centered right back out in front. Pye actually had his back to the play. It hit somebody out in front, but it's very fortunate for Northern.
Shootchuck, a hard-working forward for the Badgers. Really not afraid to get his fingernails dirty. They dump it in, and Pye stops it back behind the net. Oh, Pye was hit by Olsen, his own defenseman. Nearly took him right out of the play. And Andringa. Now Bice can't control it. The Wildcats knock it free. Landowski brings it in and shoots it. Shot it right into Sean Hill, the freshman who went down to block it. And now the Badgers have had the edge in territorial play. Here's McDonald. Now Bice. Rollick behind the net. Bice gets the loose puck. Center to McDonald for a shot that just went wide. Olsen trying to get it out. Sport checking of the Badgers really paying off here, but a shot deflects right to Plandowski now. So the Wildcats get a bit of a break. Lamarck rolling it ahead for Plandowski, and Northern Michigan makes a line change on the fly with the puck in the offensive zone. Warenka flipping it right back in. First man of the puck is Rob Andringa. Tipped by Decker to center ice. Brought ahead by Helgeson, then knocked away from him. Berger to Drake, and Drake shoots it into the Wisconsin end. Here's Paul Stanton. His pass got away from Decker. Should be icing here, and it will. They'll go back into the Wisconsin end for a face-off.
Northern Michigan comes into this series having won 3 straight games. They've won 4 of their last 6 and 7 of their last 10 games. To get here to play Wisconsin today, they beat Duluth last weekend 7-2 and 7-3. And Billy Pye has been the main man in their games. He's played in 38 of the 40 of them. Almost didn't get a chance to finish this one. As Daryl Olsen says, hey, Billy, let's see if you're awake.
He is now. Simando tipping it ahead, and then shot away by Ward, but grabbed by Helgeson. He backhands it in, a delayed offside here. Controlled by Warenka. Now to Jeff Golicki, number 27 for the Wildcats. His pass was picked off by Stanton. Stanton smooth and steady as ever. When he gets control of that puck, he really takes charge. Far boards to Ward. 5 minutes to go in the first period. The only goal scored by Wildcats' Phil Berger. Here's Drake. took a hit at center ice and then lost the puck. Now Kurt Simandl has it. Intercepted by Warenka. He's drilled to the boards, and his pass is grabbed by Stanton. He's got a man breaking at Simandl, but he couldn't handle it at the blue line. It's a little tough sledding right there at the line.
Well, they caught Northern changing the fence.
Shallow angle to Golicki. He centers it, and Simandl right there to take it away. Badgers 3-on-2. Granato brings it in. Goes to the middle, right in. And Pye with a pad save, and now a penalty just as that puck came into the crease. There it is, the call by Greg Shepard, a cross-check call, and it'll be the first penalty of the game.
Get out of there!
Talking to Greg Poss, that's Paul Stanton you're taking a look at. Stanton moving towards the middle of the rink here, looking for a pass, but it goes behind him to Don Granato, Tony Granato's brother, now an outstanding rookie with the NHL's New York Rangers. And there's a dumping to the ice, the penalty going up against Paul Stanton, who was coming in after the loose puck. You can see him bowl over the Northern Michigan player, and it's going to be Wisconsin. You don't see a penalty very often called when the team has possession of the puck around the net like that. But now Paul Stanton, we saw clearly, goes off for cross-checking, so Northern will get the game's first power play. And since the incident happened back in the Northern defensive zone, the face-off gets spotted outside their blue line. Has Jeff Sauer a little bit sour.
There's a look at Northern Michigan's power play statistics. They rank 6th in the WCHA. And Wisconsin in the penalty killing department, 1st overall. Shot in now by Eric Lamarck. Phil Berger's line is out as the forward unit for the Wildcats on this manpower advantage. They lead 1-0. Now Rollick is breaking free at center, but Andringa couldn't thread the pass to him. Now he shoot it in offside is the ruling.
Special teams, according to all 4 coaches in this tournament, are extremely important and can make or break what happens in this tournament. I think the thing with playoffs, though, you don't see a lot of penalties called. So I think you're going to see more of a 5-on-5 situation. Northern is very strong there. They haven't scored a lot of shorthanded goals. They haven't scored very well on the power play. But they did lead the WCHA this year in goal scoring overall, averaging over 4 goals a game, 4.7 goals a game, which was up from 18 goals last year. So they can put the puck in the net, but the biggest key is they can do it 5-on-5. And when you have that going for you, as well as a good power play, it's almost a tough team to beat.
It's bothering the players. Okay?
Apparently there is a light.
We have a light down at that end of the building that apparently comes on every now and then. It's bothering the players, so that's what Greg Shepard was talking about, just to keep it off.
All right, now they're going to change up the center iceman here for the faceoff. John Bice digging in against Dallas Drake. Here's Phil Berger. Another minute 40 to go on the Wildcats power play, and now another stoppage on a frozen puck. Berger on the bottom there.
Get out of there! Get out of here! What's wrong with you, 21? Stay out!
Boy, I tell you, we're getting a great audio look at this hockey game, if you will. Jim Rich is at ice level. Jim?
Thanks very much, Frank. Now, one of the things about the Civic Center ice surface is not only is it a smaller rink, but there's less room behind the goals. And you guys were laughing about it earlier when Billy Pye ran into Darrell Olsen. But there's not a lot of real estate back there, and the teams have to move the puck quickly out from behind their own net. Frank?
All right, Jim, thanks very much. Yeah, Jim has the advantage of having that glass between him and Greg Shepard. He's not able to, or maybe it's a disadvantage. I'm not sure. He can't hear everything Greg is saying. There's Pye backhanding the puck around in his own end. 90 seconds left on the Wildcat power play. With all the stoppages, they just haven't been able to get on a roll yet. Here comes Antos bringing it in. Now to Dallas Drake. Berger is the other forward. Lamarck and Olsen are back on the blue line at the points, and that pass is picked up by Bice for Wisconsin and shot all the way down. 3.5 minutes, as you can see, left in the period. 1 minute to go in the power play. Here's Olsen. Too far for Drake. Drake picks up the loose puck, however. Boy, he got that away from Rob Mendel, who had some trouble keeping his skates. Far boards again now to Drake in the corner. Drake to the line, and it gets away from Olsen back out at center ice. 40 seconds on the power play. Out at center ice, the pass for Berger was broken up by Osiki, and the Wildcats power play going nowhere. Eric Lamart. Out of John Good. And a man breaking. Good gets it right back. Centers to Berger. He'll try to tee it up. Lamart fires, and Lamart fired high. Samandel takes his man into the boards, or rather Rob Mendel does. Here's a quick pass to Lamart. He shoots. It's deflected and never reached the net. 5 seconds on the power play. Lamart blocks it at the line, but it hopped right to Steve Rollick. He's alone at center ice. Now Stanton comes out of the penalty box. Centering pass knocked away by Good, and then played out by Lamart. 2:20 to go in the period. Brought in now by Sean Hill, the defenseman, in deep, puts it in the crease. Pye swats it away. Granato jammed up on the board. And here's Scott. Second half of this period has pretty much been all Wisconsin. But they haven't been able to score. Offside here for the Wildcats.
Well, the official is Mike today. We're going to talk to the head of the officials, Ron Foyt. He'll be our guest in our first intermission. We'll also take a little chat with Daryl Olson, first-team All-Star from last night's press conference. Also have some highlights and fill you in with what's going on with this WCHA Final Four tournament. The second time it's been held. Both years right here at the St. Paul Civic Center. Last year the tournament drew over 52,000 people. And this year, I think they'll probably go over 60,000.
Probably will. Ticket sales have been terrific. And of course, St. Paul looking to become a permanent home for this final competition. Puck jammed up behind the net. Here's Hill shooting it around, but it's caromed right back on the near boards. At the line, Olsen kept it in. It's centered and then squirts loose once more. Olsen being chased by Brett Kurtz. And the Wildcats get the loose puck. Wildcats in their own end. It's played ahead by Petrasky, but blocked. And then it hopped away. I don't know if it went out of play or it was played with a glove hand. We'll have a stoppage anyway.
Might want to inform everybody, too, to stay with us tonight at 8 o'clock. Face-off between the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Denver University Pioneers. 8 o'clock tonight in our other semifinal game, as you see some hitting up along the boards in front of the Northern Michigan bench.
For the benefit of our viewers in Michigan and Colorado, we'll mention that it's 8 o'clock Central Time. Glad to have you watching the WCHA Playoff Championship wherever you are. Here's Hill shooting high with the pad save and then pounced on the puck in a hurry. Both goaltenders have been very good, very steady in this first period.
Again, this is a situation where there's a face-off down in the Northern Michigan zone. Wisconsin winning the draw. You see that traffic jam picking up in front of Bill Pye. He managed to get his eyes on it, holds onto the puck. Moving in from the point position for Wisconsin on that shot was Chris Nelson. Pye, the busiest goaltender in the league, playing in the most games this year, and tied with Minnesota's Rob Stauber for the most victories with 23 over the course of their entire schedule.
Now Shuchuk ready to face off. They wave out Antos. And he is replaced by Plandowski. And now, I thought they were going to wave Plandowski out. Shuchuk wins the draw. Stanton, far side, Osiki. His shot hit Eric Lamarck and goes on a play. That conversation between referee and players is also important. It seems like idle chatter perhaps to you, but it's a way of keeping the game under control.
Gary Shuchuk is the only Badger to play in all 40 of their games this year. I've always liked Shuchuk. Every time he's played the Gophers, when we've had an opportunity to watch him, and he's had some very strong performances.
1:17 left to go in the first period as the Badgers flip it in. Olsen shooting it around. It comes free. Antos is there. Lays it to center ice. And their 2-on-1 is broken up by Stanton. Boy, did a great job Now the lead pass for Shuchuk. He spun off the puck with a minute to go in the period. Antos back behind the net. Leads it for Olsen. Now Petrasky goes after it. Off Cancel's stick and grabbed by Lamarck. Now ahead to Antos. Antos at the Badger line to Plandowski. He shoots right on. That's the first shot Joseph has seen in a long time and then had trouble covering up. A tripping penalty coming up here on the Wildcats as Cancel has it. Plandowski's going to go. Stanton with the puck. Joseph heads to the bench for an extra skater. Sagasor gets loose, but a good play at center ice by Warenka to break up the rush by Sagasor. Booking penalty coming up on Plandowski.
Daryl Plandowski doing it deep in the zone. You see Cancel picking up the puck back behind his own goal. Plandowski trying to get to the puck, figured the only way to do it was to haul his man down, but that's a bad part of the rink to get a penalty in. You've still got 200 feet of ice in front of you. Lots of time for your teammates to help out and break up the play. There's a mishandling that Curtis Joseph had on the play just prior to Plandowski getting that opportunity. We've got two of the better goaltenders in the WCHA matched in this afternoon contest.
Rick Comley, a very calm character. I don't think we've ever seen him lose his cool. 13-year career at Northern Michigan. And there's a look at Wisconsin's power play percentage. Their power play only 7th best. Northern Michigan penalty killing ranked in the middle of the pack at number 5. Here's John Bice with 14 seconds left in the period. Darrell Olsen back behind the net, driving it around. And a whistle. We're going to have penalties coming away.
Let's go. That's good. That's good, both of you. Let him go first. Hold it.
That's Petrasky 7 and Cancel 22.
And they're both being sent right to the dressing rooms. Here's the action going on. They were pushing and shoving pretty good. Cancel looking for position and taking a little spear there from the high stick of Pete Petrasky.
High sticking.
And they're going to be even.
Yeah. No. We go 5-on-4. We already had a minor. We're 5-on-4. 5-on-4.
Good explanation. That is a rule. Quite often we'll see in hockey, in the collegiate hockey that is, a player from each team gets a minor penalty. Both teams skate short. However, if there already is a penalty being served, then they're allowed replacements on the ice. But those players still have to sit off their penalty time. So that's why we're 5-on-4.
Badgers won the face-off, but it's all the way back in their own end. 3 seconds remain, and this period will come to a close. So the first of 6 periods of hockey here in the WCHA Playoff Championship comes to a close. A very even period with the Badgers trailing Northern Michigan ahead here 1-0. And we'll be back with our first intermission at the Civic Center in St. Paul right after this.
The WCHA hockey playoffs are being brought to you in part by the Grove Restaurant. Fine home-style cooking in a friendly atmosphere at the Grove Restaurant, US 41 South, Marquette. And Riverside Auto, your dealer for Saab, Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth, Mazda, and Jeep, US 41 West, Marquette. And Forestburg Flowers, 2 locations in Marquette and Ishpeming.
I would like to tell you about some of the services we offer to our more than 6,000 members. We have special savings plans that pay above average earnings, including CDs and IRAs. We offer all types of consumer loans with a special rate for new cars, and life insurance is included at no extra charge. Our newest service is our Visa card with no annual fee and a 25-day grace period. If you are a member of a Catholic parish in Marquette County, we invite you to join our credit union and to take advantage of our many services.
Saluting the Wildcats in the Final Four are GNS Roofing for residential, commercial, and industrial service. Call GNS Roofing in Marquette. Frost Moving and Storage in Negaunee. Agents for Allied Van Lines, the world's largest mover. And the Golden Wildcat Club, Northern Michigan University's Golden Wildcat Club, congratulates the hockey team for a great season and wishes them good luck during the playoffs.
Showtime's box office blowout explodes with the hottest exclusive movies and specials that you won't see on HBO. In March, Robin Williams stars as a highly unorthodox disc jockey in Good Morning Vietnam. Evander Holyfield and Michael Dokes duke it out in Showtime Championship Boxing Live. Plus, don't miss the Showtime comedy special Jimmy Walker and Friends 2. Showtime exclusives. Here you see them, there you don't.
Wildcats lead here in the first period, 1-0. A period, Mike, that Northern seemed to dominate early on, and then Wisconsin really kind of took the play away from them and had the better of it for probably about 12 minutes.
Right. There's no question. Northern came out strong in the first 10 minutes, and then Wisconsin, to me, took advantage and played hard the last 10 minutes. But overall, I thought both teams came out not nervous, very aggressive. They were dumping the puck in and skating hard on both ends. So looks like a fairly even match right now.
It's a series, or it's a game where we thought goaltending might dominate with Curtis Joseph, Billy Pye, and Joseph has a little injury. Billy Pye, I don't know how many people knew this, but according to a source at Lakeview Arena, Billy Pye took a shot to his chest. He got through all his equipment early this week and had a contusion to the lung and actually was coughing up blood for most of the week and didn't get back to practice until Friday. And so far, though, it doesn't seem to have affected either goaltender, especially Billy Pye, who's probably had the tougher time of it.
Oh, he had some great saves. He had 12 hard shots, good shots from Wisconsin. And I can see he's all right after taking a hit from Olsen in the corner there. So I think he'll do fine the rest of the game.
The only goal of the period, Phil Berger got it very early for Northern Michigan. Troy Jacobson, the only assist at 3:26 of that first period. Several penalties didn't... it looked like the referee was going to let things go as much as he could, and the first penalty didn't come until almost 3/4 of the way through that first period. And I know you as a coach, Mike, that's really the kind of game you usually like to see.
Right. You want to see teams that can play, and these little flagrant hits like, like grabbing and holding and hooking and stuff. If the officials let them go and let the kids play, and if you see a good cross-check and stuff, call it just like he has. I'm really impressed with the officiating right now.
Northern Michigan with two players in the penalty box right now. Klandowski with the hook, and then Podrasky and Tansel with the matching penalties. So Northern Michigan still short a man as we start the second period. The Wildcats outshot in that first period unofficially 12-7. So Billy Pye coming up with 12 saves, and Curtis Joseph coming up with 6 saves. That again unofficially. We'll get more on that when they go back to the arena. But keys, I guess, Michael Hillier, I would think Northern Michigan really has to regroup a little bit. They gave the puck away a couple of times in their own end and made it tough on Billy Pye, but I think they maybe have to come out and play the second period the way they played early on in the first period.
I'm impressed the way Northern's playing. I figured they'd come out a little tentative, but they came out real strong, and I counted, I don't know how many hits, like 11 hits to Wisconsin's 4 in favor of Northern. They have to watch the face-offs. They lost like 8-4 face-off, double on that to Wisconsin. Overall, I thought that Pye just played an excellent first period, and if Northern just, if Pye stays tough in the net and Northern clears the zone out, I think Northern's going to win this hockey game.
If you're a Wisconsin, you mentioned the hits. Northern Michigan had the better of it by your count, and as a coach, obviously you know how to count those hits. If you're Jeff Sauer in the Badger locker room, are you going to want your club to come out and maybe start giving some of those licks back?
I think I would tell my club between periods, hey, they're hitting us. What we got to do is slow them down and start hitting them back. And that's, just counteract what Northern's doing. That's all you can do.
Again, the Wildcats with the lead 1-0 after one period. Phil Berger assisted by Troy Jacobson at 3:26. And again, the penalties all even after one period of play at 2 penalties apiece, and Northern Michigan getting good goaltending from Billy Pye. What about, from Wisconsin's standpoint, they got to be a little frustrated. I would think the second period, Mike, is going to be a big period in that they're, I guess, from the emotional standpoint,
they're going to have to get something on the board this period, or it could maybe work against them in period number 3.
Well, they're definitely getting the shots. I mean, Pye's just coming up with great saves. I counted like at least 6 or 7 point-blank shots that could have went in. But like I said, between periods, the coach is just going to tell them, hey, just play the way you are, keep getting the shots, and they're bound to go in.
The Wildcats in the lead again, 1-0. We'll be back with more after this. Live WCHA playoff action is being brought to you in part by Johnson's Printing Service, featuring commercial and instant printing and complete copying service at 1310 South Front Street, Marquette. Ron Labonte Builders for commercial and residential building and remodeling. Call Ron Labonte Builders, US 41 East in Negaunee. And by Dallas Cleaners, conveniently located in the village. Dallas Cleaners, we care about your clothes. Dallas Cleaners wishes the Hockey Wildcats good luck.
It's back, and it's better than ever. It's the 1989 MTV Spring Break Beach Party.
And you can be part of the fun and excitement.
Be sure to register for this year's Super Grand Prize, a round-trip airfare for 2 to Daytona Beach.
Hotel accommodations for 4 days, 3 nights, limo transportation, VIP admission to concerts, the big event, and the VIP party.
The drawing will be held March 8th at Spanky's Lounge in the Holiday Inn.
Pick up your entry forms at these sponsors and drop it off at Spanky's.
Live WCHA playoff action is being brought to you in part by Twin City Dodge Chrysler Plymouth, totally committed to customer satisfaction at 330 South Main Street in Ishpeming. And by North Oak Manufacturing for fine custom cabinets, a complete woodworking shop for custom moldings, doors, kitchens, and baths. And by Country Corner and Crossroads Amico with an extensive deli, groceries and beverages, and high-grade Amico fuel. You can depend on getting everything you need, plus fast, friendly service.
Westwood Lanes is your total entertainment center. Bowl 24 lanes with computerized scoring. Visit the Pro Shop for all your bowling accessories. Regulation size pool tables. And all the latest video games. Hungry? Live nightly entertainment. Westwood Lanes, your total entertainment center.
Live between periods, I'm Ron Plum with Michael Hillier. In case you missed it, named to the first team of the WCHA, Darrell Olson as a defenseman. Phil Berger made the second team. Dean Antos, Dallas Drake, and Billy Pye all received honorable mention. Rick Comley picked up Coach of the Year, and I guess, Mike, when you're picked 7th and you bring your team in 2nd, and you know it's not always the coach, but you know, it has a lot to do with the coach, and certainly that's a credit to Rick Comley.
Rick Comley has to be so elated right now, you know. I mean,
for you picked up your share of the win, too.
in a league as tough as this, he has to be real elated.
See Darrell Olson in the background. We'll go back to the network now.
The best year for everything to come together, and you know, I couldn't ask for anything more. Winning the title for top defenseman, making the first all WCHA team, and you know, and here we are at the Final Four.
The team had a dramatic turnaround from last year to this year. What are some of the areas that you can point your finger on that have led to that?
Just, you know, the last year we had a good team, but we didn't have the right feeling, I guess. And then this year we came into camp, and we got a great bunch of guys. Everybody wants to work hard, you know, and we got one thing in mind, and that's to win the whole thing. And everybody wants it, and you know, we're on a roll right now.
It is a first appearance for Northern to this Final Four tournament, which is only 2 years old. How do you guys feel coming in?
Oh, you couldn't ask for anything more. It's an honor to be here. You know, you got 3 great teams, you know, 4 top teams in the league now, and it's going to be a great tournament.
Who do you feel is the team to beat?
Minnesota, definitely.
When you prepare for a tournament like this, it's unlike regular practices where you've got one weekend where you're playing the same team twice. Here you got a potential meeting 3 different teams. Does it change your practice habits?
In some aspects, because you're gonna work. You're gonna do the things that you usually do during the week of practice, but you're gonna work on your specialty areas more, because you know each team has a breakdown of what they're gonna do on a power play and penalty killing. So you're gonna work on those for a little while, but most of all you're just gonna stick to the basics.
What's the most important part of the game when you reach a playoff tournament like this?
Just have a positive mental attitude and go out there and try your best.
Well, congratulations again on your first All-Star team nomination.
Thanks a lot.
This live presentation of WCHA Playoff Hockey is brought to you in part by the Wildcat Hockey supporters at Carroll Motor Supply, with complete machine shop service and automotive electrical service. And Feltner Plumbing and Heating, your Carrier high-efficiency dealer in the Marquette area for over 31 years. And Capital City Express with flight instruction, passenger service, and aircraft maintenance. They all wish the best of luck to the NMU Hockey Wildcats. Go Cats!
We're the store that gives you more. We help when you say when.
When you need help with windows, ask Spear & Sons Lumber. We have beautiful, energy-efficient Anderson windows that'll enhance the appearance of your home. We'll help you choose the Anderson windows that are right for you. Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson at Spear & Sons Lumber, West Washington Street in Marquette since 1864.
The store that gives you more.
These NMU Hockey Wildcat supporters wanted to say great job and good luck, Cats. Vango's Pizza and Lounge open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 2, and Sunday, noon till midnight, serving Greek, Italian, and American dishes with delivery. Midas Muffler Shop, the place to get auto repair, muffler and brake work, shocks, including McPherson struts and front-end alignments. Midas, the place to get service. And by Northland Appliance and Furniture, with sales, service, and delivery, serving Marquette County since 1945. Good luck, Cats.
It's not impossible to find the freshest ingredients for your next appetite mission when you go to the right place. The Right Place Deli. It's not your ordinary deli. They have hot soups, sandwiches, salads, and subs. All strategically designed for your appetite. So the next time hunger strikes, end your mission at the Right Place Deli. 920 Wright Street, Marquette. Or call ahead at 226-9601.
Second period of play. Northern Michigan leading by a score of 1-0. And Wally, while the Wildcats had an early edge in this hockey game, I think the second half was clearly on Wisconsin.
No question about it. They were right there. They're giving Bailey Pye a lot of trouble. I think if they can keep that forechecking game going, shut down the middle of the rink, they're going to be okay.
We'll find out how the Badgers did right from their coach, Jeff Sauer, who's standing by with our Jim Rich.
Thanks, Frank. With us is Jeff Sauer. In that first period, your team didn't get out the start they wanted, but the second half of the period, you guys really came on.
Oh, I thought we controlled it well, and we got a lot of shots, but Pye was bigger than our shots were, but we've got to convert on this power play now.
How about the second period? What's going to happen here, do you feel?
Well, hopefully we can keep skating the way we were and put some shots on it, but we got to convert on that power play. That's the important thing now.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff. Good luck in the second period. Back to you, Frank.
They'll have better part of the 2-minute power play coming up in this period. And the Badgers, as we mentioned, dominated the period. They outshot Northern Michigan, but the only goal was scored by Phil Berger.
Berger Bundles, they called him last year, and he gets a lot of goals. They started back in the deep in their own zone as Phil Sukharov pushed it up the boards around Osiki. Coming in was Troy Jacobson with the puck. A nice pass across ice as they took their time. Berger firing it almost right back into Kurt Joseph, but it was enough to beat the Wisconsin goaltender at 3:26 of the period to give the Wildcats a 1-0 lead. Berger not even waiting, firing it on the fly. A little bit of rough stuff towards the tail end of the period. Those were the penalty calls going up against Chris Pansel and Podrasky of Northern Michigan. They'll be serving off penalty time, but Wisconsin will start the second period on the power play for a minute and a half as there is still some time left of the penalty to Plandowski. Shots 11 to 5 in favor of Wisconsin in the first period. Sean Hill and Robin Guinga each having a pair of shots.
All right, on the play underway with the power play for Wisconsin, the Wildcats able to send it all the way down. 1:27 to go on the minor penalty to Plandowski. Here come the Badgers out to center ice for John Weiss. The puck hopped away from him, and then it's Dean Antos to shoot it all the way down. Northern Michigan may have been outplayed in the second half of that period, but they are not an unflappable team here. They have been very poised and look very cool out there. They have the lead to their advantage, however. Here's Weiss. Lost his footing in the corner. Now McDonald alone, and Pye stops him from in close. Clearing pass deflected to McDonald at the line. Stanton fires. Stick save by Philly Pye again. Eric Lamarck cleared it around, but hands it away to Shupchuk. Shupchuk cuts to the middle, centers it, and the puck was up in the air. McDonald couldn't jam it in. Stanton to the side to Shuchuk. Now they center it in front for Weiss. Beautiful play, but he pushed it wide. Stanton fires. That goes into the corner and to the near boards where it's cleared all the way down by Eric Lamarck. Great passing.
Jeff Sauer talked about getting the power play going, and it certainly is here to start the period.
Would remind you of a Bob Johnson power play. That's the way he liked to coach them. Pinpoint passing. Now to center ice. Shot in by Rob Mendel, and as it is, they called icing against the Badgers. Mendel didn't cross the red center line.
Kind of mistake you don't want to see happen against your team when you're on the power play is to ice the puck. Now it has to come all the way back down the Wisconsin zone for the faceoff with only 10 seconds of power play left. Here's the opportunity for John Weiss, a dangerous player, behind the back pass out in front for Doug McDonald, who's had an outstanding year as a freshman in the WCHA. His shot just going off the base of the net wide. John Weiss, 23 goals, topped the WCHA this past season. He's a junior out of Madison, Wisconsin.
Now just 8 seconds remaining on the Badgers' manpower advantage. Tom Sagasor at center ice avoids the check, carries it to the line, then shoots it in. Darrell Olson going in after the puck. Passing it over to Brown, and Bill Brown jams it out as he's hit. The penalty has expired, and so there's icing called here against Northern Michigan.
Sean Hill, 22 points. As a freshman defenseman, very aggressive, very smart with the puck, too. I think he's going to have himself an outstanding career at the University of Wisconsin.
Sean Hill had one big game 2 weeks ago against Northern Michigan, picking up 4 assists. That's high for one game in the WCHA this year.
You can tell a guy like that gets involved. You see his mask, how beat up that thing was? Goes right in there.
Now Doug McDonald, a freshman from Port Moody, British Columbia, getting ready for the face-off for Wisconsin. He's lining up across from Brad Warenka. And from the draw, it's controlled by Sukharov shooting it around. Kevin Scott tied up on the far side. Puck squirts free. Olsen tips at it. Sukharov picks it up for the Wildcats. Now Olsen. Around to Kevin Scott. Out to center ice a bit too far, and Rob Andringa now has it. Andringa to the far board. Hill playing it ahead. Wildcats knock it right back to center, then Andringa jams it in. Sukharov behind the net fires it up on the far boards to Scott. We're in the opening 2 minutes of play in the second period. Wildcats with a 3-on-2, but the shot was fired into the corner. Now McDonald for Wisconsin back to center ice. Bothered by Scott, who makes an interception. Played it over to Brown. Now McDonald shooting. That deflects into the near corner. Going in after it, Doug Garrow, number 12, and finally it's knocked ahead with a glove, and so we'll face it off.
Phil Brown played a little bit of defense before. He's been steadily improving all season long. He's a junior out of Cornwall, Ontario. A lot of recruiting for Northern Michigan comes out of the state of Michigan and also into Ontario, where there's a lot of hockey talent available to the university and much closer to home for a lot of those kids, too.
Linesman Mike Tock getting ready for this draw. Players, however, are far from ready. Shuchuk skating in, and now he is joined by Dallas Drake. Again, we've lined up improperly. And the draw now to John Good. His pass gets through everybody and into the Wisconsin zone. Mark Osiki there to pick it up. Osiki's pass likewise gets through everybody, but no icing here. High dropped it back for Brown, but it hit the Wisconsin player Shuchuk. Finally, the Wildcats get it again. Out to Ward at center ice. He's tied up at the line, but still gets it into the Wisconsin zone. Zagasor pinned up by Golicki. Ward centers it. It's in front to Golicki, and Joseph makes an incredible save. Wow, Golicki, not known for his goal scoring, and a tremendous opportunity right there.
He set it all up, too, Frank, with a good hit right behind the net. Let's hope the replay can go back that far. Watch this right here. Tom Sagasor back. He takes out 2 Badger players. That opens a lot of things up. Look at that passing around the net. 2 more passes before it got back to Galicki. And how Joseph stopped that is unbelievable. Galicki immediately went back over to the net just to make sure it didn't slide in underneath of him. Great save by Curtis Joseph.
Now it's brought in by the Badgers. There's a centering pass by Shutchuk and a nice play by Wawrinka to knock the puck into the corner. Stanton back at center ice. Flipping it to Sagasor. Now they bring it in offside. Shutchuk just a fraction ahead of the play.
Red. He's right there. He's right there. He's right there.
That was a good call by the linesman. Shutchuk was clearly 2 feet ahead of the play.
And what Shepard was arguing is the fact that his linesman was right there.
All right. That high drama just punctuates the play, doesn't it?
Well, you can tell that Shepard is in control of this hockey game.
From center ice, Pete Podrasky shooting it in. They've played about 3.5 minutes of the second period. Phil Berger has the only goal of the game, that in the first period. Here's a shot deflected. Joseph made the save, and he was spun around in the crease. A couple of players tangled up in the netting.
It wasn't really in the netting. Chris Nelson had a headlock with his legs.
That's it, I got him.
On that man, Troy Jacobson wouldn't let him loose. Jacobson was trying to get in front for a possible play.
Minor holding. 18 white, minor holding. Guys want to screw around, you sit.
3:49, the time of the penalties. You heard the calls, and that's where they're at.
8 red, Chris Nelson. And 18 white, Troy Jacobson. Here it is.
Well, this is the tail end. Now watch as Jacobson tries to get up. You get put in a headlock. You can't quite catch the end of it, but nonetheless, holding is a very good call by referee Greg Shepard on those two. So each team now 1 man short, unlike in the first period when 2 players went off. There is no minor penalty already in existence, so we'll skate 4 aside.
Now Darrell Olson back behind his own net, over to Phil Berger, hands it away to Bice, and Pye makes a game-saving play there. Boy, did he save Phil Berger on that one. Berger just handed it away to Bice. Now Olson has it.
Pass, Berger. Nice pass, buddy.
You can hear the taunting now coming from the Wisconsin bench. Here's Bice behind the net. Centering it. Stanton fires. Blocked by Pye, and he holds on. Well, Phil Berger will hear about that for a long time. From the Badgers, he'll hear from
Billy Pye, I don't think quite expected that, but that's one thing as a goaltender. You've always got to be ready when the puck is in your end of the ring. Never let up, never take your eyes off it, because you don't know what's going to happen. Here's a prime example of it. You'll see where Pye is. He's ready for that shot. He's 6 feet outside the edge of his crease, was there to meet the shot. He didn't expect the thing to happen from Phil Berger either, but boy, you've got to keep yourself prepared at all times when that puck's in your own end of the ring.
Freshman Doug McDonald for the Badgers, ready for the faceoff against Daryl Plandowski. McDonald directing some traffic. Looks like he was moving Sean Hill back further on the line. And we're not quite set yet. Mike Tock again, the linesman. And the draw to the Wildcats. Brad Wawrinka right out from behind his own net, throwing it ahead. Too far for Plandowski. Now John Bice whacks away at it at center. McDonald tied up at the line. And Doug McDonald goes back with the puck to Rob Andringa. 5 minutes gone in the second period, which is grinding away a little bit here. And a minute to go, and minor penalties to each team. Northern Michigan leading 1-0. Here's Plandowski dropping it back at center ice to John Good. Good, a defenseman shoots. That hits the glass. Bounces to Plandowski. 4 skaters aside here as Bice has it for Wisconsin. He's got McDonald at center ice. Instead, he skates it to the Wildcat line, and they're offside. McDonald crossed in ahead of the play on the left.
A little bit frustrating for a guy like Bice. He's got the lead, the momentum going up ice, bringing it all the way from his end of the rink. And then to have the offside happen is not what you want at this point. Face-offs are important. This one will be out in the neutral zone. Northern Michigan has won 7 of the 8 face-offs in this period so far.
Wow. And they win this one. Cold turkey, too, pulled right back by Dallas Drake. Puck cleared up on the near boards for Drake. He is checked a bit by Tansel, plays it ahead, 3-on-2 to Scott. Scott jammed up by Mark Osiki nicely. Stanton back behind the net. That's taken away by Scott. He battles for it. Jammed up again by Osiki. Shuchuk tried to play it away, and it's intercepted by Olsen. Olsen lost it to Tansel, racing ahead with Shuchuk. Tansel in on goal. He centers it, and a sprawling play by Podrasky to break it up. Now Stanton keeps it in at the line. Stanton is checked, throws it across to Tansel. Penalties are over. We're 5 skaters aside. A quick centering pass by Shuchuk hits a skate, goes to the far boards, and the loose puck grabbed by Darrell Olsen, leading a 4-man Northern Michigan rush. Olsen in the slot, shoots it wide of the target, and it rebounds to the near boards. Ward battling for position, and he's hauled down. Nice move by Ward, but Stanton was all over him. Here comes Stanton with the puck to center. Hits the Wildcat line, they're onside, and then it's tipped to the line, but not out. Kept alive by Shuchuk, now intercepted. Brought ahead by Sukharov, 3-on-2. Tried to drop it off, but couldn't control it. Puck bouncing a little bit. Here's a centering pass to Jacobson alone. He tried to center, but it hit Hill. Wildcats shoot it around to the near side. Nice hit on the play by Berger, who was then knocked down himself. Jacobson knocks it loose behind the net. Decker clearing it around. And Kurt Samandel has it for the Badgers.
What a difference for this shift that the Berger's line is taking. Remember the last one, he almost coughed it up for a goal in his own end, but he's really come out aggressive this one. He wants to make it back up.
Now in the far corner, Phil Neuer. Another Twin Cities native playing in this game. Kurtz has it. Sukharov shooting it around. Landowski getting it out. Both of these teams pretty much going with 4 lines. Lead pass to Greg Paz. Fired. Pye makes the save. Rebound loose. And Kurtz picks it up. Kurtz's pass goes off a skate. And Billy Pye has been the difference in the game. 3-on-2. The Wildcats bring it in. Antos tries to center, but Paz covers him. Now back behind the net. It gets away from Duck Garrow. And Hill plays it to the far side. Intercepted by Golicki. Garrow behind the net. He's knocked down by Bice. Cleared by Hill and put right up out of play. Coming up on the halfway point of the second period. This game coming to you live from the Civic Center in St. Paul.
WCHA playoff hockey action is being brought to you in part by Nelson Chevrolet Oldsmobile Geo in Negaunee, home of the Nelson commitment to customer satisfaction. US 41 Negaunee, 3 miles west of the airport. And Northern Stationers for state-of-the-art in office supplies and furniture. Northern Stationers, 120 West Washington, Marquette. And Matthews Floor Fashion. See the complete selection of Armstrong Solarium floors at Matthews Floor Fashion, 2010 US 41 South in Harvey.
Known as a playmaker, and he fires the long bomb straight up the middle, and taking it in stride is Greg Paz coming in alone, and goaltender Billy Pye, but Pye making the big save. Almost had it kicked in by Brad Warenka, who's just trying to finish taking his man out of the play and almost booted it in. Excellent save by Bill Pye. He's had to face 5 Badger shots in this period. Northern's just got 3 down at Curtis Joseph, but Northern's on top. 1-0 on Phil Berger's 25th goal of the year. Back early in the first period.
Stay right there, both of them.
They're still at it.
Put chains on them.
Right from the face-off, the Badgers control. A pass deflected by Golicki, and the puck goes right up out of play. Look at Chris Nelson.
4 assists in 15 games for Chris. He's more or less the 6th defenseman if they ever get into a situation where they'll go with 4 or 5. Chris probably won't see the ice, but as you mentioned before, Frank, both teams are pretty much going with 4 lines. and using all 3 sets of defense as well.
How's the ice looking to you? Sometimes it seems like that puck isn't bouncing very well out there.
Might be a little softer, but you've got to figure you've had 100,000 people in this place over the last 3 days, and you've got another, I would guess about 12, 13,000 in here this afternoon. So it gets warm in here. The ice becomes a little bit soft. I think the advantage that the college kids have right now over the high school tournament that was just in here, the ice has had a chance to cure, and it's a lot stronger now. You're not seeing the chips and the delays in the game because of patchwork that has to be done.
Last year, the WCHA playoffs preceded the Minnesota high school tournament, and so the college kids, on virtually no days to cure at all, had to break in the ice, and it wasn't very good ice at all for last year's WCHA playoff championship.
And as strange as it does sound, ice does need time to cure, and the best way to do it is just not to let it sit there, but to have people skate on it.
Here's John Good for the Wildcats. They lead 1-0. The only goal scored at 3:26 of the first period. And here we're coming up on the halfway point of the hockey game. Brad Warenka back in front of his own net, watched by McDonald and turned aside again. Both of these teams very well coached. They're very much in control of their own game. Ward flipping it in. In the corner, Golicki, and he's hit. Now another check thrown by Drake as the puck lays loose at the board. Finally picked up by Golicki in the far corner. And another hit up against the board. Brought to center ice by Rob Mendel. He's alone as the Badgers change. Sends it in on Pye. Pye leaves it for Olsen, and then Olsen drops it back for his partner, Podrasky. Podrasky to Garrow, intercepted by Tansel. And the puck goes into the penalty box, so we'll have a stoppage.
One thing I find interesting about these teams too, Frank, is that they were out here this morning for their warm-ups. Each team had about a half an hour to a 45-minute skate. Wisconsin decided not to go for a skate this morning. Northern Michigan did, but they come out for that. Now this is in the morning. Then they come up for their pregame warm-ups, which both teams did. And now you get into the heat of the game. So in a matter of about 5 hours today, it's the third time on the ice for these guys, except for Wisconsin. I don't know if that's going to be a factor later on or not.
I wasn't here for Northern's warm-up this morning, but I don't imagine they went very hard. Maybe just to get loose.
Just to get loose.
Puck cleared off ice. Darrell Olsen turns to go in after it. Chris Tansel chasing him. Olsen dropped it off. Now Phil Brown has it on the far side. He got out, got the puck to center. Osiki shoots it in, and Podrasky has it. Podrasky leads the WCHA defenseman with 30 assists this year. Now Tansel in the far corner. Here's Tom Sagasor for the Badgers to center ice. Sagasor goes outside, watched there by John Good. Shoot Chuck behind the net. Puck comes free to the Badgers. Shoot Chuck. Oh, he put it in. It hit Olsen's skate, and then it was gloved by the Michigan player Brown, I think, but no penalty out of this one. We'll just have a face-off, but the Badgers nearly stole the goal there. As it is, it's still 1-0 Wildcats.
Stop in at Beth's Cake Creations, where experience, goodness, and friendly service are the very finest. Plan your next party around luscious baked goodies and professionally decorated items, cakes, cookies, pastries, breads, and other delicious treats, all made from scratch and always fresh. Give your taste buds a thrill with good lovin' from the oven at the sweetest little shop in town. Beth's Cake Creations in 2 locations, Jackson Street, Negaunee, and West Baraga Avenue, Marquette, or call 228-CAKE.
Along with Jim Rich and Wally Shaver, this is Frank Mazzacco. KITN TV in Minneapolis, happy to be the flagship station of the WCHA network this weekend. This is the first semifinal game. Game 2 tonight between Minnesota and Denver at 8 o'clock Central Time as a sprawling save was made. The rebound, a goal for Northern Michigan. Joseph did all he could, but the Wildcats score on the scramble.
I think it's going to be Jacobson who will get credit for the goal, but he just moved himself towards the front of the net on that scramble. Here's Jacobson bringing it across the line. Takes what looks like a harmless shot. It's partially deflected and handcuffs Joseph. You see him down on the ice. Can't see which direction to go. and he actually had his back to the play, which is a worse position a goalie can get into. Jacobson just took advantage, and with the fish floundering, he went upstairs top shelf.
Well, he wasn't the only one handcuffed. Kurt Simandl had all kinds of trouble. But it's 2-0 now, Northern Michigan. Jacobson getting his 10th at 24.
Bill Berger in there jamming as well, and he gets the lone assist. As you see, it wasn't upstairs. He went right along the ice. Joseph doing the only thing he could, just throwing everything he had towards that lower side of the net, but obviously out of position and unable to get back in time.
Had Jacobson try to go upstairs, he may have hit Joseph's pads and arm, which were flailing around trying to block the net. As it was, there was a crack. Here's Bice centering it for McDonald, who gets a shot, but that one hit Podrasky. Far point, Stanton now near point, Osiki moving in. Hits the base of the net. There'll be a penalty out in front, however. And a penalty coming up. We'll take a break with a power play. 9:08 to go in period 2. Wildcats 2-0.
Live coverage of the WCHA playoffs is brought to you in part by these Wildcat hockey supporters. Nelson Chevrolet, Oldsmobile Geo, and Nagani, your elite Olds dealer, committed to your satisfaction. Gene K's Pasties, specializing in fresh daily homemade pasties, subs, and gyros. Open 7 days a week at 11. And Satellite TV Systems, for the finest in TV and subscription services no matter where you live. For more information, call 228-9641.
The junior from Canton, Michigan picks up 2 minutes for interference. Watch the traffic jam in front. Osiki has lots of time to skate in, does, and his shot goes off the base of the net. And you see right behind, and just as the shot goes, watch the interference in front of the net. Right here, Podrasky pulling down his man on a near miss by Osiki, but there wasn't a lot of room left for Mark Osiki to get a good shot. Pye way out to cut it down.
Second power play of the game for the Badgers. They're down by 2. They had an earlier power play at the very beginning of this period. Worked it around well on perhaps one shift, but we're unable to score. Now Bice. Mendel plays it over to Stanton. Stanton has it at the right point. Now Rob Mendel. Here's Bice. Mendel. Stanton could not keep it in. Here's Mendel again. Pye behind the net to block it. Warenka trying to shoot it around. Gets through everybody. 8:26 to go in the period. 1:15 in the power play. McDonald back at his own end. Poked away by Eric Lamarck. And it rolls loose to the Wildcats at center. Here's Porter shooting it in. Stanton from behind his own net. Throws it ahead to Rollick at center. The Badgers get it in, battle for it, but it's cleared right back down the ice by Porter again.
Good pesky forechecking by the Wildcats. They're known to do that, and they are certainly here because Wisconsin now gets called for icing and just can't get a darn thing going in the power play. Big disadvantage for Wisconsin. They lost some key guys last year to graduation. Tony Granato, Paul Ranheim, and Steve Tuttle. It really hurt their power play. This year they ranked 7th overall in the WCHA in the power play. Last year they were 3rd overall. So losing those guys really hurts them. Bice is their leader. And he presently is on the bench after that last shift, and the number 1 unit was unsuccessful to even penetrate the Northern Michigan zone.
41 seconds left on the penalty to Podrasky. There's a look at the score. Rob Andringa has the puck. And back behind his own net. Andringa to his own line, throwing it ahead for Granato. It's tipped. Brown had it for a moment, then it's shot in deeper by Steve Rollick. Loose in the far corner to Hill. 15 on the power play. Here's Shutchuk spinning around. He's being watched by Garrow. Now in the slot, here's Hill shooting. Pye the save. Rebound to Brown, and it's cleared away. Well, one thing about Billy Pye, he may have seen a fair number of shots, But the defense is doing a pretty good job of clearing those rebounds away from him.
Yes, they are. He's only seeing one shot at a time, and that's what a goalie asks for. Hey, just give me that first shot. You guys clear the rebounds away, and we're all going to be happy back here. And they're getting that. And right now, Wisconsin looks a little bit frustrated. They just can't get it going. They needed something positive to come out of that power play, and they didn't really get it. The one good opportunity coming from Sean Hill, blocked out in front, and immediately back to clear it away was Phil Brown.
Penalty is over. We're 5 skaters aside. 7 minutes to go in the period. Marco Siki has the puck. Laid around on the near boards and finally batted ahead by John Helgeson. Oh, he never crossed center and sent it down the ice for icing. Boy, I'm really surprised he did that.
Now Wisconsin looking a little bit tied up right now. Helgeson was injured a lot last year for the Badgers. Red-shirted, but has been playing regularly this year. Is very strong, has a good shot. Probably the biggest player in the tournament, too. Good hit. Osiki taking out his man, Brad Werenka, and he hit that partition post there. It's got padding on it, but believe me, when you hit that sucker, you still know it's there, padding or not.
Face-off coming up to the left of Curtis Joseph.
Dean Antos is just great on the face-off. He's had a good game. Very strong. Rick Comley has said he's probably the best all-around player in the league.
Quite a compliment.
It sure is.
Now to center ice for the Badgers. Rollick shooting it in. Bice from a shallow angle. His shot was broken up. Bice cutting to the middle. Osiki at the line, and Pye played it beautifully right away to the corner. A nice play by Billy Pye, who came out about 8 to 10 feet and steered that shot by Osiki away. Stanton shooting, deflected by Bice, and it missed by just a foot. Another excellent play there. McDonald jammed up by Werenka, who kicks it loose. It's whacked at and cleared out of the zone by Plandowski. Badgers launching it back in. They'll touch up and filter in after the puck. Here's Lamarck. Now Osiki throws it high in the air. Again, the Badgers touch up. Werenka right in front of Pye. It's relayed to center ice and brought ahead by Antos. Antos jammed down off the puck. Good hard hit by Chris Nelson. Here comes Nelson 1-on-3 at the line, and he has to flip it back behind the net. Thundering hit by Chris Nelson. Now loose to Shewchuk behind the net. He'll try to center. He'll try to shoot. Pye read it well and made the save. Delayed penalty on the Wildcats. Joseph comes out of the net for an extra Wisconsin skater. Mendel jammed up. Here's Sagasor sending it across. Now Granado has it. 6 skaters for the Badgers. Shewchuk behind the net, centers it. That's deflected to the line. Nelson to Sagasor. Fired across. Now Granado has it. Granado sends it in front, and Lamarck is there to touch it. And a penalty coming up on Northern Michigan.
Good control by Wisconsin as they pulled the goaltender to try and get that 6-man out there, and he held that advantage for quite a long time. Usually don't see it. High sticking is a call. Looks like it's going up against Eric Lamarck, who dejectedly heads over to the penalty box and will put his Wildcats shorthanded for the 3rd time in this hockey game. Not the situation Rick Conley wants to see his team get into. There's the action out in front of the net as Chris Tansel of Wisconsin is dumped to the ice on the play by Lamarck.
You know, while there's still 25 minutes left in regulation time and only a 2-goal Northern Michigan lead, but from a confidence standpoint, the Badgers really need to score here.
Well, they do. They've got to get some control going on this power play. A lot better than what they had last 2 times they've had it. They're a very good passing team. I think they're a better passing team than Northern Michigan Wildcats. They've outshot them 2-1 in this game. In fact, in this period, you're looking at an advantage of about 12-5 in favor of Wisconsin.
Now Joseph leaves it behind the net. We'll set the Wisconsin power play unit for you. Rollick, McDonald up front, along with John Bice. Bice leads the club in power play goals with 12. He and McDonald each have 12. McDonald to the far point. Hill. Now to McDonald. Hill again. Rob Mendel. Now to John Bice. At the side for Tansel. He puts it in front, and it's swept away by Werenka. loose on the boards. It pops then right back to Warenka, shorthanded coming up ice. One man back is Stanton, and now Stanton breaks up the rush, and here come the Badgers. McDonald with Cancel and Weiss. McDonald stopped. 1 minute to go on the power play. McDonald battling on the boards with Scott. The loose puck comes to Podrasky, and he drives it all the way down.
Wisconsin has their big guns on the ice. All they seem to be able to do, Frank, is to work it on the outside perimeter and not really get in close for the real good shot that they need.
Now hustling at the center is Don Granato. A half minute on the power play. Tries to get around Podrasky. Plays it to Stanton. Stanton gets in past Scott. Shoots right on Pye the save. And a third shot goes wide of the net. Billy Pye with 2 saves, and the third went high. Now at the far point, Stanton shooting. Pye there again to block it. Shutchuk has it. 15 on the power play. Far point to Stanton. Shutchuk tried to center. That's broken up and cleared down by the Wildcats. That should wipe out the power play advantage. Rob Andringa took it there from Joseph, the goaltender. So the penalty is over as Lamarck comes out of the box. Penalty killer for Northern Michigan, doing the job again. Here's Eric Lamarck. Backhands the puck to center. 3 minutes to go in the second period. From center ice, Andringa shooting it in. Pye leaves it for Olsen. Olsen now to Lamarck. And finally, it's controlled by Sean Hill. He's jammed up on a hit by Dallas Drake. Puck on the far board. Warenka let it come out, flips it back in, and the Wildcats touch up. Little hitting going on now away from the puck. Here's Kurt Samando playing it ahead to Brett Kurtz. Kurtz drops it back to Samando. Samando shoots from the line, and a pad save by Pye. Rebound tipped into the corner. Foss has it. Samando behind the net, centers it for Kurtz. His shot goes behind. Warenka now to the far board. Carried by Ward to center, rather by Golicki. Jeff Golicki. His shot hits a skate. Broken up again by Jacobson, and he'll hustle back for the puck, and he drives it in the zone. Now Samando. Checked by Berger. Puck flipped to center ice by Kurtz. He's been out a long time. Got it in, then lost it, and Berger has it. Badgers making a change. Osiki battling for the puck. Jacobson there to shoot it in deeper. Cleared around on the far boards to the Badgers. Good hard hit on the far side by Newer. No icing here. Jacobson lost it behind the net. It's centered in front for McDonald. Looked like he had a corner, but it went wide. Now a possible 2-on-1. Jacobson to Berger in the slot. Steps aside and shoots it wide of the target. A minute to go in the period. Here's Berger. Scored the game's first goal. Nearly had one there on that last rush. But the Badgers gain control. Carried by McDonald, who's going to be a penalty back behind the play. A slashing call, and I think it's going to go against Osiki.
We got 24 red slashing.
That's it. 19-14 the time.
Great opportunity just a little bit earlier, too, by the Wildcats as they came down on a 2-on-1. They're getting that first pass off very well from their defense. And this time it was Jacobson and Berger coming in alone. That's been the advantage against Wisconsin today. Each of those players has a goal in the contest to go along with an assist. But now, Mark Osiki a little bit upset at the play, took a slash, puts his team out of it right now. Watch right here as the puck goes back in behind the net. Boom, a nice hit thrown by Pete Podrasky. Face-off is going to be spotted in the neutral zone because that's where the puck was when play was stopped.
That's the time remaining in the period. Second power play of the game for Northern Michigan. They lead 2-0. And this has been the line. That's at least part of the line. Berger is out there with Antos and Drake. Wildcat fans beginning a staccato chant. Behind the net, here's Berger. Checked in the corner, straight, nice play to Berger. Near point Olsen. Fires, and that one hits Samandel, who's a bit shaken up, but he gets right back into the play. Now Petrasky has some trouble. 20 seconds in the period. Played deeply to center ice, and the pass by Drake for Berger was broken up. Antos across to Petrasky. 10 left in the period. Swatted ahead by Antos. Tipped back out at center ice. 3 seconds. Olsen, 2 seconds left. Long shot at the horn. Stopped by Joseph. It wouldn't have counted anyway. But a goal in each period has given the Wildcats a 2-0 lead after 2.
We talked about it being a goalie battle coming in, and Bill Pye has been the story in this hockey game. Now we have a fight going on back in the Wisconsin zone. Paul Stanton taking on a couple of players.
Get out of here.
Greg Shepard right in the middle there.
That's it. Out. White, get out of here. Out. Guys, that's good. Out. White, get out of here now. Out of here. You stay right here. No. We got something.
The way the rink is set up, Northern Michigan is supposed to leave the ice before Wisconsin and even leaves their bench. Greg Shepard quite unhappy.
That's right. Let's just let it go. Now there is.
Well, will there be penalties or not?
Yes, there will, according to what we just heard from Greg Shepard.
All right, we'll get them sorted out as Greg Shepard gets them sorted out. We'll take a break. 2 periods complete. We'll be right back.
Watch Showtime blow away the competition. You're invited to a box office blowout. It's a free preview of the biggest and best movies on TV, exclusively on Showtime. On March 10th, 11th, and 12th, you'll preview Showtime's exclusive movies, Adventures in Babysitting and RoboCop, Good Morning Vietnam, and Showtime Championship Boxing, Beverly Hills Cop 2, and Fatal Attraction. You won't see these if you don't have Showtime, so tune in March 10th, 11th, and 12th for Showtime's free box office blowout preview.
Music fever, catch it at Teletronics Discount Records. From rock to jazz, folk to pop, country to classical, the widest variety of music in Marquette County. All the new releases and CDs, albums, and cassettes, with special sale prices on the latest top 20 releases. Looking for that off-the-wall album? If we don't have it, we can special order it for no extra charge. Teletronics also services stereos, TVs, and VCRs. Teletronics Discount Records, 603 North 3rd Street, Marquette.
Best of luck, Wildcats. Supporting Wildcat hockey are Ray's Home Center, the ideal place with the only registered Kohler showroom in this area. Ray's Home Center, 508 North 3rd Street, Marquette. BPO Elks number 405, a constant source of help and support to Marquette County. And by the Village Inn, the home away from home for NMU Wildcat parents. These Wildcat supporters wish continued luck and success to the NMU Hockey Wildcats.
It's time to play ball. Unbelievable play! Sunday nights, ESPN puts you in a box seat for live college baseball featuring the nation's top teams and heaviest hitters. We'll cover all the bases, including the NCAA College Baseball World Series. Sunday night college baseball, live on ESPN.
Between the second and third period, I'm Ron Plum along with Mike Hillier. Mike, a couple things I want to talk about here. Number one, the officiating. Greg Shepard, I thought, has done a great job in this hockey game. He's let him play and called only what he absolutely had to call so far, and I know the coaches and players both appreciate that.
Right, Ron. He's doing a good job. There's no question about it. He has a mic on tonight, and I think he's out for Academy Award, to tell you the truth. But he talks to the players and keeps them under control, and I think that's what both coaches like to see.
Of course, Curtis Joseph, the Wisconsin goaltender, named Freshman of the Year, the league's most valuable player, and the first-team goaltender in the WCHA this year. Certainly well-deserved, but the difference in this hockey game has been Billy Pye for the Wildcats.
I can say 3 words: Pye, Pye, and Pye. He is excellent tonight. He's been making so many good saves. It's unbelievable.
What about, you know, the interesting thing I noticed early in the game, and you did too, was the clear boards down from the ice up. I would think that might be a little bit of a distraction, but it hasn't seemed to affect either team.
Right, like when we were talking about that, I said, you know, if I was going down the ice and you can see a shadow, it's like somebody's behind you, or you pass the puck to somebody, it's like, where's the puck going? You see all these shadows, but apparently Northern adjusted well to it.
So far, you know, Wisconsin has had great chances in this hockey game. You mentioned pie, but you know, I guess if I'm Jeff Sauer in the locker room between the second and third period, you got to tell your team not to get down and keep doing what they're doing, because they are getting some excellent chances. And, you know, you get enough excellent chances in a hockey game, sooner or later you're going to score.
Right. There's no question Wisconsin has outshot Northern, and they are getting some good quality shots. I mean, they had that one breakaway, and they had about 2 or 3 more good shots from the perimeter. And it just said Pye right now is tough, and he's been tough on the road all year long. So I'm sure their coach is just probably telling them, hey, you're playing well, play the way you are, keep getting your shots, and they're bound to come in.
You know, one thing Rick Conley mentioned in the pregame was they had to stay out of the penalty box to beat Wisconsin. They haven't had a lot of penalties, but they've had given Wisconsin 3 power plays. Northern Michigan has had just 1, and obviously they're going to have to tighten that up in the third period if they want to hold on to their lead and go on to the championship game.
Well, the penalties, there's one thing about getting good penalties and getting bad penalties. I think Northern right now is getting all good penalties. You know, the one penalty was a guy in front of the net, and we cleared him out. And so you have to look at it in both ways. And right now, Northern's penalty killers are real high. So if they're, take good penalties and their penalty killers are killing the penalties off, it's a plus for Northern.
Wildcats' only goal of that second period, Troy Jacobson from Phil Berger at 10:24. The Wildcats lead it 2-0. We'll be back after this.
We're the store that gives you more. We help when you say when.
When you need help with windows, ask Spear & Sons Lumber. We have beautiful, energy-efficient Anderson windows that'll enhance the appearance of your home. We'll help you choose the Anderson windows that are right for you. Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson at Spear & Sons Lumber, West Washington Street in Marquette since 1864.
The store that gives you more.
Showtime's box office blowout explodes with the hottest exclusive movies and specials that you won't see on HBO. In March, Robin Williams stars as a highly unorthodox disc jockey in Good Morning Vietnam. Evander Holyfield and Michael Dokes duke it out in Showtime Championship Boxing Live. Plus, don't miss the Showtime comedy special Jimmy Walker and Friends 2. Showtime exclusives. Here you see them. There you don't.
Like it's back and it's better than ever. It's the 1989 MTV Spring Break Beach Party.
And we want you to be part of the fun and excitement.
There are going to be lots of tubular contests and lots of rad prizes.
There'll be prizes for like the baddest beach boy and surfer girl.
And like the best and the gnarliest tan.
And the best swimsuit.
Ugly shorts.
Tacky shirts.
And the best beer belly.
And of course the limbo.
And we'll have like local hourly updates taped to Spanky's and like broadcasts on MTV.
Like it may be chilling outside, but it's going to be hot inside Spanky's Lounge.
MTV Beach Party brought to you by like the cool folks at Present Communications and these great sponsors.
Downwind Sports.
Teletronic Discount Records.
Pal Marquette.
Blisters Gym.
Scott Clothier.
The Body Shop.
Gold Incorporated Stores.
Getz's.
LRN Distributing.
Golden Touch.
Frito-Lay.
And like Holiday Inn.
Take care. We'll see you there.
Northern Michigan leading this hockey game by the score of 2-0 after 2 periods. Troy Jacobson and Phil Berger, the Wildcat goals. Berger in the first from Jacobson at 3:26. Jacobson from Berger at 10:24 the second. And Northern Michigan with that 2-0 lead. The Wisconsin Badgers have had good chances. Billy Pye has been the difference in this hockey game so far. And I would think we talked a little bit about the Wildcats, Mike, and or Wisconsin, what they should do. They should just keep doing what they've been doing. They're getting great chances. If you're Northern Michigan, I would think if you're Rick Conley, 2-0 isn't a very big lead, and I would think he would want his team to go out and open it up a little bit in the third period and get more offensive chances than they had in that second period.
Right, Ron. I think Rick is telling them just exactly that. He's just telling them to just, kind of play the way they are. They are playing an aggressive game. They're getting strong goaltending. Their point men are really clearing in front of the net out, and they're clearing the puck out well. They're getting good, strong penalty killing. And I think Rick just going over all these points and saying, hey, play the way you are, and we're going to win this game.
First great goaltending matchup today, Billy Pye and Curtis Joseph. If the Wildcats could hold on, and if Minnesota beats Denver tonight as expected, we could see another great goaltending matchup tomorrow night. Rob Stauber, who was won the Hobie Baker Award last year and was hurt for a while this year, but his numbers again this season just outstanding. So we could be in for a couple of games with the Wildcats that can hold on and win this one.
Oh, it should be a great game tomorrow if Northern can win this game tonight.
Of course, the Wildcats did give Minnesota problems this year, beat them in overtime in Lakeview Arena, and lost 4-1. Then went to Minnesota, picked up a 2-2 tie, and then lost by a goal the next night. So, you know, Northern Michigan again picked to finish 7th this year. They finished 2nd, and they have been able to be in a lot of hockey games. Their road record was not great this year. They won, I think, 6, lost 11, and tied 1 or 2. But there was, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 of those losses that where if they could have gotten just maybe one more goal in the hockey game, they could have had a much better record. But chemistry,
right,
as you well know, Mike, with the Marquette Senior High School State Championship last year in hockey, some years it's there, and I think that had a lot to do with Marquette's state championship last year. Northern Michigan seems to have that same chemistry going this year, and you know, as a coach, you really got to feel good inside when you feel that chemistry is there.
Right. You can just tell your players when they're ready to play, and I think Northern is excited because they're getting so much production from like Darryl and kids like this that they never really expected to do this well as juniors and sophomores and freshmen, and I think Rick is real pleased. And that's why I think Northern's done so well this year.
The Wildcats, again, leading it by the count of 2-0 after 2 periods, and the Wildcats going to go into the 3rd period with that 2-0 lead. And we'll be back with more after this.
If you're the type that won't settle for less, then come to Fry Chevrolet for more. More full-size Chevy trucks with automatic transmissions, more Chevy S10 Blazers and Chevy S10 trucks. And don't forget the #1 selling Beretta and Corsica. Come to Fry for more. More than what? More than most car dealers in the Upper Peninsula have in stock, and more than likely for less. So hurry to Fry and look over our huge selection of, well, everything. Fry Chevrolet, US 41 West, Marquette.
ESPN opens the door on NCAA basketball. Slam jammed with color and excitement. See a parade of America's outstanding players in sparkling displays nearly every night. And follow top teams right through conference championship, the NIT, and the NCAA tournament. The color and excitement of live NCAA basketball and ESPN. The right combination.
When you think of Schwalbach's, you think of kitchens, and that's understandable because Schwalbach's has been creating exciting kitchens for a long time. But now think of Schwalbach's for living rooms, dining rooms, children's rooms, family rooms, even offices. Schwalbach's can give every room in your home the custom-built advantage that fits your lifestyle exactly, like quality-built holiday cabinets, a beautiful addition to any home. For a unique, distinctive room, talk to the designers at Schwalbach's because Schwalbach's means much more than just kitchen.
WCHA playoff hockey action is brought to you in part by these loyal Wildcat supporters. Eastwood Lane and Lounge, where you can dance to live music every weekend. Eastwood Lane's behind Northern Michigan Bank. Good luck, Cats. Century 21, dealing in residential, commercial, investment, and nationwide referrals. Each office is independently owned and operated. And the Pit Stop Quick Lube. Good luck, Cats, from the Pit Stop Quick Lube across from Shopco in Marquette and across from Kmart in Escanaba, your lubrication specialist.
They were a bit out of this game, but quite the contrary. The Badgers are right in it. They've outshot Northern Michigan with 28 shots on goal through 2 periods of play, and that should put Wisconsin in pretty good stead going into the 3rd period. They've really dominated.
No question about it at all. And the hero of the game so far has been Bill Pye. I think the big key, though, is to take a look at these shots and where they're coming from. Wisconsin is taking a lot of shots. Look at the left of your screen. That's the shots going against Bill Pye. Look at the blue line. Paul Stanton has 5 shots in this period. He's getting a lot from back there. They're getting a good number in close, too. But I think the big difference in this period has been the fact that the Badgers are not getting a second or a third shot. Billy Pye is making that first save, and that's all he's had to do. His defense is clearing the rest of it out, and it's working very, very well so far.
All right, Wally, Jim Rich is again standing by at ice level. Go ahead, Jim.
Thanks very much, Frank. With me is Coach Rick Comley. Your team is up 2-0. A lot of people all year have talked about the offense your team possesses, as you were the top-scoring team in the league, but your defense has played well this year as well.
Well, Billy Pye's playing very well. There's a lot of good chances, and we're going to have to return some if we're going to hold this lead.
What do you expect to happen here in the third period?
Well, we have a power play for a minute. Be a big goal.
All right, best of luck to you and your team in the third period. Frank?
All right, Jim, thanks very much. Insightful comments from both our last intermission and now Rick Comley. One goal in this period, Wally.
Same duo, Jacobson and Berger. They've been the dynamite. You need the goals out of your big players, and they cashed in. Shot was deflected on goal. It's bouncing around. Berger takes a whack at it, and it's finally Jacobson going along the ice in that mad scramble to slither it underneath Curtis Joseph. And that's the difference in the hockey game. Here they are cutting across the line, taking a good look. Deflected right on net, but then it got away from Joseph. That's when he's in trouble. Now he's down. He can't get back up. Goaltenders have to get back up on their feet quickly. Joseph wasn't allowed to, and a big lead now is looming for the Wildcats. They also have another advantage, Frank, coming into the start of this period. Power play. Mark Osiki is still off for 1 minute and 14 seconds. That's our summary. It's a quick one. Shots on goal, though, are the telltale story. 17-6 in that period in favor of Wisconsin. Besides Stanton's 5 shots, Mark Osiki and Doug McDonald each having a pair. Meanwhile, Jeff Golicki had 2 shots on goal for the Wildcats, and so did Troy Jacobson. The Cheeseheads are celebrating, but they need a little bit more to celebrate about. And we now have more than just this band in the building.
Well, it took a while. The Wildcats band left Marquette at 8:30 this morning. Battled what we hear was a pretty good snowstorm, and just arrived in the building between the second and third period. These guys are warmed up.
Naturally, the Northern Band has to travel through Wisconsin, so meeting the snowstorm there, I'm sure this is sweet happiness, walking in and seeing a 2-0 lead by their boys.
All right, as you mentioned, still power play with the penalty to Osiki, so the Wildcats with a 5-on-4 advantage. Bill Berger, 1 goal and 1 assist for him, not a Dallas great. At the far point, Lamarck, near point Olsen. Now to Lamarck again. There's Berger working it down low. They try to flip it back to Lamarck. Far side, a shot by Antos. It's centered to Berger, a shot and a goal. A power play makes it 3-0. And that's what Rick Comley wanted, and it's a big cushion now.
That is just a huge goal for the Wildcats. 29 seconds into the period, and the first power play goal of the playoffs, at least in this tourney. But Berger was camped all alone. Dean Antos brings it back to the point. Lamarck shoots it right back to the side. You see how open it was? Badger players are sprawling all over the place. Out of position is number 6, Shawnee Hill, and that left Berger wide open, and there was nothing Kurt Joseph could do on that. Very well thought out. Great accuracy in the passing by the Wildcats, and Berger scores his 2nd of the game, 26th of the year, and gets a huge goal for the Wildcats.
That goal came at just 29 seconds of the period. Now it's an uphill battle for the Badgers. Down by 3, here's Scott, fires! Joseph blocked that one. Here's Sagasaur in front of his own net, had some trouble getting away from Garrow, but hustles it now to the Wildcat line. Over to Chris Cancel. He lost control of the puck. Mendel shoots high, makes the save, and the rebound cleared right away by Good. Oh, Wisconsin player knocked down to the ice by Brown. He'll either go off for hooking or high sticking.
Right in the throat, guys, right in the throat.
Well, apparently that stick came up a little higher than I thought.
We got a high stick. High stick in the throat.
Jim Rich is downstairs with John Harrington. Bah, they call him. Let's preview tonight's game.
Thanks very much, Frank. Bob, your team is going to play in the second game tonight against the Minnesota Gophers. Any preference? Would you have rather played this afternoon or this evening?
Well, I think we'd rather play this evening. You know, we don't play a lot of afternoon games during the course of the season. It kind of disrupts the way people prepare for a game. That's one of the reasons. We'd rather play second one. And the other reason is our guys get to take a look at the game and see the excitement, see the emotion, and see what it's all about. This is the first time here for our team. So they get to see a couple of periods, see what it's all about. Then when we come here, we'll know what to expect.
All right, John. Best of luck to your team tonight when they take on the Gophers.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
All right, Frank. Thanks, Jim. Brown gets the penalty for high sticking at 1:08. Badgers on a power play now, and more than a moral victory, they need a goal.
And that was a great save by Pye because he booted it straight out the net, up the middle, and allowed the Wildcats to break out.
Badgers setting up. There's a look at their power play. Fox for 3. At center ice. It's brought in by Rollick. Now Sagasor has it. Played across by Hill to Andringa. He scrambles to keep it alive. Hansel walking in. Gets a shot, and that's deflected into the corner. Now grabbed by Sagasor once more. Chase to the outside. He waits. Flips it into the corner. Sagasor gets it again. Pops it in front of the net, and it gets away from Rollick. 1:05 on the power play, and the puck is tipped out of the zone. Wildcats changing on the go. So will the Badgers. Here's Andringa at his own line. Out of Sagasor. Throws it into the far corner. John Feist goes after it. Olsen nearly hands it away. Andringa shoots. High to save. Rebound to Sagasor. Pushed wide. One of the few rebounds the Badgers will get in this game, and it was pushed wide. Now 40 on the power play. Out from in front of the net is Sean Hill. Lugs it to center. A bunch of white jerseys waiting for him as he hits the Wildcat line. Pye has trouble clearing it. Badgers with a man advantage at center. McDonald, but just too far for him. Now Andringa near point. Far side, Rollick, or rather Hill trying to tee it up. 15 on the power play, and the Wildcats shoot it all the way down.
Billy Pye right now is thinking, geez, I think I'll stay in this net. It's a little safer here, and I almost cost a goal.
Feist fires, stick save, rebound whacked away by Olsen. It clears the glass as the penalty expires, and we'll be back to 5 skaters each. We're going to pause 10 seconds now for station identification on the WCHA Playoff Championship Network.
You're watching WCHA Final Four playoff action live on Channel 8.
The Northern Michigan Wildcats have never been a playoff champion. This is their first tourney appearance, the WCHA Final Four.
First time they've made it past the preliminary round.
Yes, that's right. And they lost last year in the preliminary rounds to Wisconsin.
At center ice, here's Dallas Drake. Hits the line with Golicki. Osiki breaks up the rush. Stanton has the puck. Relayed to center ice, and it's played across now by Joe Decker for Wisconsin. And dumped in by John Helgeson. Back behind the net. Cleared by Phil Muir. And tipped out at center ice now. Decker has it for the Badgers. Decker sidesteps the check, then flips it in. Golicki doesn't know where the puck is. Darrell Olsen does. Here's Golicki. He's hit. Stanton shoots. That's broken up in front by Olsen. Very steady defensively are the Wildcats. Long shot by Olsen. Joseph made the save. Hands it away to Sukharov. And a pad save by Joseph. Here's Olsen dumping it in deeper. Stanton, first man of the puck, chops it around. Kept alive by Dave Porter. Now Drake in the corner knocked it loose. Porter whacks it free. Good waiting for it. Tees it up. And then flips it around the horn once again. Rolls loose to the near side, and it's tipped to center ice by Samandel. Here's John Good. Badgers changing. They better hurry. Good to Porter, and he'll tip it in so the Wildcats can change on the go as well. Puck taken away by Jacobson. Now to Berger. Looking for 3, and he fired it wide. Boy, he can really get the shot off in a hurry.
Good release.
Here's Don Granato to Greg Paus. That's off his stick. Kept alive by Berger. But then taken away, and the Wildcats are playing with more confidence as Kurtz breaks in. He fell. He shoots. It's deflected. And the rebound batted away by the defenseman Warenka. Jacobson goes after it. They jam up on the far boards. Warenka gets the loose puck. Here's Plandowski. Backhands it off the near boards, getting it into the zone. It's cleared right to Plandowski, who fires. That goes wide of the target off Joseph. Berger knocking it back behind the net. Plandowski to pick it up. Plandowski knocked down away from the puck there by Chris Nelson. And finally it is controlled by Rob Mendel. Pass was behind Kurtz. Granato has it. He centers it for Mendel. That was broken up on the play by Garrow. Kurtz gets free, walks in and centers it. Bice fired, but that shot was broken up. Good coverage again. This time the coverage by Plandowski, who forces the play back to center. Stanton carrying it in. Olsen picks it up. Oh, nearly hands it away, but it's grabbed by the Wildcats and played to center ice. Now Scott trying to get it in. Rollick knocks it away. And here's Olsen back at his own line. Olsen shooting it ahead. Scott kicks it in. He is tied up, and his centering pass goes behind the net. Brown with a hit. Bice with a hit. Puck still free. And now they will freeze it. We played 6 minutes and 17 seconds of the third period. And the Wildcats have a big lead now.
This live WCHA playoff game is being brought to you in part by Denny's Standard Service Complete Auto Repair. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. and Sunday, 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. Superior Shores Restaurant and Lounge. Relaxed dining on the lake shore with authentic Greek dishes. Tuesday and Friday, it's an all-you-can-eat fish fry. And by Tough Coat Dyno of Marquette, your total car care center specializing in rust-proofing box liners, running boards, and much more. Tough Coat Dyno of Marquette, wishing best of luck to the NMU Hockey Wildcats.
Clock now very much in the favor of the Wildcats from Northern Michigan. Badgers need to get a roll going here, trailing by 3. Northern Michigan with a goal in each period. Plandowski breaking up the rush. Hill behind the net clears it away. Now Andringa turns around back behind his own goal line. That third goal has really given the Wildcats an awful lot of confidence.
Yes, it has.
They're skating around with heads up. Here they pick off a pass. Plandowski laid it ahead for Lamarck, but it's broken up, and here comes John Bice. He single-handedly could turn this thing around, but lost it at the line as 4 Wildcats were back waiting for him. Plandowski trying to race ahead, but there was Nelson to break it up. Now Rollick and McDonald on the far board. Rollick went down along with Plandowski. From center ice, McDonald shoots it in. A little desperation now starting to settle in on the Badgers. Here's Golicki ahead to Antos, 2-on-2. Antos can't get through Osiki. Now a hard check thrown by Golicki. He really flattened Tansel. Puck cleared up back on the near board. Darrell Olsen, first man to it. Played it away from Tansel. Olsen gets it in, and then it's Shutchuk driving it to the line, but not out. Olsen's shot is steered away. Ward ties up. Here's the Petrosky shooting, and that hits Osiki. Centered by Drake. Olsen on a backhand, deflected off the base of the net, but a long time ago the whistle had gone. We're going to have an interference call. Interference and a power play coming up as we approach the halfway point of this, the third period.
It's back, and it's better than ever. It's the 1989 MTV Spring Break Beach Party.
And you can be part of the fun and excitement.
Be sure to register for this year's Super Grand Prize, a round-trip airfare for 2 to Daytona Beach.
Hotel accommodations for 4 days, 3 nights, limo transportation, VIP admission to concerts, the big event, and the VIP party.
The drawing will be held March 8th at Spanky's Lounge in the Holiday Inn.
Pick up your entry forms at these sponsors and drop it off at Spanky's.
Golicki likes to throw the weight around. Has had a good aggressive shift, but this time the puck is over on one side of the net, and he pops him on the other side. That's Mark Osiki he takes down. Interference the call. And this man knows that his team has got to score a goal in this power play. They are 0 for 4 today, as you see right there. This is one they have to put away.
Mendel from center ice shooting it in. Here's Ty, hands it away to Bice. It bounces in front, but there again, the coverage in front of the net knocks the puck away. Mendel going back for it. Power play has canceled. McDonald and Bites up front. Here comes McDonald, having an outstanding freshman year, but they're offside as they bring it in.
Something Wisconsin has not been doing, Frank, on their power play today is they don't work it way down deep. They don't go right to the corner. Every now and then they will put a pass down there, but they're staying rather high. It makes it easier for Northern Michigan to defend that because they don't have to chase all over the place and scatter.
Jim Rich, you're at ice level. What's going on?
Thanks, Frank. Just a couple of things I was looking up here in the record book. Northern Michigan this year, when they've had the lead after 2 periods of play, are 16-1 on the year. And in the 3rd period, they've outscored their opponents 70-44. So the Badgers have a big task here. Frank?
And they indeed, Jim, are playing with renewed confidence here. Oh, Joseph lost that one, and boy, did he get lucky. Now Stanton. That brings the whole house to life here. They flip it in, and it's flipped right back out by Troy Jacobson. Now Joseph wants to do it single-handedly. He throws it to center ice, and it was broken up. A minute to go on the power play. Long shot by McDonald, hits the goalpost. The only time Billy Pye has been beaten, and that one hit the pipe. Stanton playing it in deeper.
He wasn't beat. He knew where the pipe was.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right. Goalies give him 2 inches on every shot. This puck goes out of play.
There's Kurt Joseph, and I tell you one thing. Last night at that awards banquet, everybody felt that this was going to all settle down between 2 goaltenders, Rob Stauber and Kurt Joseph. Here's the puck that comes down. Joseph just totally mishandles it, and all he can do is watch. But there is another man in that room who felt that he might have something to do if it was his way, Billy Pye. He has shut out Wisconsin so far. His team has been badly outshot in this contest. Rick Comley told us earlier today that he felt that Bill Pye is certainly the most valuable player in the league because his team needs Bill Pye to be high. When Bill Pye is on his game like he has been most of the season, the Wildcats are going to be there. He said they'd be a 5th place team if it wasn't for Bill Pye. That shows a lot of value to that player.
Oh, he makes a brilliant pad save on Andringa, and a shot here by Hill deflects to the far boards. Antos looking for Klandowski, but that fails to click. 20 seconds left on the penalty to Galicki. We're halfway through the 3rd period. Here comes Sean Hill to center ice for the Badgers. Dumping it in. Far corner to Greg Toss. He's hit by Good. Shuchuk has it. Far point. Now they work it quickly to the near point for Hill. Galicki back on the ice. Here's Andringa with a shot. Pye to save. The rebound is underneath somebody.
Lamarck is throwing a couple of punches towards Wolick. Everybody else is paired off.
And I tell you what, the officials just did an excellent job to get that broken up.
Let's go.
And we're going to have some penalties as you hear Greg Shepard, but prime opportunity for Wisconsin on the power play. Again, they remain working it high. Look at Poss, number 2, camped out in front, set up a very good screen, booted out nicely, but again, Wisconsin gets it right back. Another shot comes right in, but it hits the defenseman on the play, Phil Neuer, and goes off to the side. And on the last shot, Robin Dringa letting this blast go. The scramble out in front, the puck is underneath the goaltender, Bill Pye. That costs the stoppage, and also the pushing and shoving matches that continued. And now we have a host of penalties.
If you weren't a believer in Billy Pye before today, you should be by now.
I'll ask him. I'll ask him.
That's Greg Shepard.
5 in the box. 13 in the box. Okay. Come here. Come here, guys. You got a spear or not? Michael? You got a spear or not?
I don't. The only thing that happened...
There was nothing on the goalie. I was standing right there. Yeah. Nothing happened on the goalie. I was right there. All you guys had to do was move the hell out. Here's what we got. You can catch the numbers for me, okay? We got each 2 for roughing. Everybody in the box. 2-2, 2-2. Okay? Hey! That's right.
Eric Lamarck, Brad Warenka for Northern Michigan, Steve Rolick, and Greg Posh for Wisconsin. All minor penalties for roughing. So what we're going to have here, folks, is good old-fashioned pond hockey. It'll be 3-on-3 for the next 2 minutes.
Well, Greg Shepard is making a mark here today as well, leaving no doubt in anybody's mind as to who's in control and why he was picked to handle this first semifinal game.
Well, that's a good point, and I enjoyed hearing the interview Jim Rich had with Ron Foyt in our first intermission, talking about the referee and linesman assignments and how they all work in the game. And they picked the good ones. Greg Shepard's there, and for a good reason.
All right. So, Wally, your favorite part of the game, 3-on-3. And just a bit over 10 minutes to play.
This is a time where you really have to concentrate on picking up your man. And almost, instead of a zone type of coverage, it's man-to-man coverage. Got to stick to him like glue, because if not, you've got a 2-on-1 situation almost at any single time. When you're 5-on-5, those are very rare. When you're 3-on-3, if you don't pick up your man, they can become quite common.
Olsen against McDonald, and a draw to the far board where Stanton ties up with Antos. Quick whistle here to make sure nothing else happens. So we'll line up for a face-off back out at center ice. Paul Stanton has had a very good game.
Yes, he's had a lot of shots on goal, too, and he's the backbone of that team. They need him to produce points. He's getting his opportunities, but they're just not beating Bill Pye.
He's now set a school record with 162 games played as a defenseman, breaking a record set by Theron Welsh. 3-on-3 with the Wildcats leading 3-0. Now Stanton flipping it ahead to Tice. Carrying it in, he stops McDonald. Forced back to the line by Antos, but he keeps it in. Now across to Bice, and Podrasky goes right in after him and chips the puck away.
All the Wildcats want to do right now, Frank, is just to keep everything either back at the blue line or on the outside if Wisconsin brings it in.
Pass deflected to Podrasky, and Joseph makes the save. Drake went to shoot, but he was taken out of the play by Stanton. Nice coverage by Stanton. Here's McDonald, the freshman who has 42 points. Stanton goes after him. Jammed up by Podrasky, alone in front is McDonald. Oh, great coverage again in front as Olsen broke up the shot. Now a shot pushed wide by Stanton, and Olsen has it. Ran right into Stanton so he couldn't get out. McDonald and Podrasky tangle up. Here's Olsen. Lost it. Cancel. High in the slot. Pushes it wide. 35 seconds left on those minor penalties.
Oh, geez.
Played with a high stick. That would have been a 2-on-0 breakaway. But play goes on. Now Suchuk trying to break free. He's got Osiki in front. Now to Cancel alone. A drive. Pushed wide of the net. Pye never saw it. Straight gets center ice. Bearing down on Cancel. Gets loose. And shot wide. 5 seconds left in those minors. 8 minutes left in the third period. Here comes Osiki. His pass hits Suchuk. And the penalty box is empty. 5-on-5 all of a sudden. Here's Greg Paus at center ice. Throwing it ahead into the right wing corner. Sukharov shooting it around. Good. His pass is blocked. A chance in front for the Badgers. But Pye made the save. And the rebound squirts away. Suchuk centers it. Cancel shoots high. Sukharov clears it. Here's Cancel again with a shot. That's deflected. And it hops over to the near board. Hard hit thrown by Brown. And then it's knocked loose. And Dringa turns around. And Landowski gets it finally to center ice for Lamarck. Long high one, gloved by Joseph. Long lead pass, knocked down at center ice. Antos plays it in, but the Badgers regain control. Only 7 minutes left now for Wisconsin to get back into this one. Jacobson tying up a man behind the net, And play is called. 3-0 Wildcats. This is the WCHA Playoff Championship.
Good luck to the Hockey Wildcats from your friends and fans at Hoover Stanaway Ford of Ishpeming with the best-selling F-Series trucks, 12 years running.
I've always been into computers, and this computer I'm working with now, this computer is hot.
We've got some of the fastest computers in the world. Aim high. Air Force.
Final WCHA standings this year. Minnesota winning it by 14 points, the largest margin in the history of the league. But look at the log jam down below. Northern with 42, Wisconsin and North Dakota with 39, and Denver knocking off North Dakota to advance. They had 34 points, so it was close. 4 very well qualified teams are in this tournament.
Here's a lead pass by Osiki through everybody, so we have icing. Exactly 6:45 to play in the third period.
We may see a few more icings come against Wisconsin, Frank, only from the standpoint that they've got to go with long bomb passes right now, and they've got to break a guy loose. If the puck's over on the left side, watch for a long rink-wide pass and a long one to the right.
You know, this has not been the strong suit of Wisconsin scoring goals. They've only averaged 3.6 goals per game in the regular season. But they need to score now, and it's been defense that's kept them in most of their games.
Well, that's what's hurt them from last year. They're down 37 goals from last year in regular season play.
Puck tipped out to center ice and shot back in by Warenka, but puck apparently hit one of the Wildcat players that we have on the side.
We've seen a little bit of a switch in the faceoffs too, Frank. It was dominated in the second period by the Wildcats, but here in the third period, Wisconsin has won 8 of the 11 faceoffs. Doug McDonald, the freshman, has won 5 of those.
He is impressive, McDonald. Not out now. It's the Shuchuk line that's out with Sagasor and Cancel. Now from the pile up on the far board, Cancel knocked it loose. Shuchuk carries it in. He's got Sagasor in front, and the pass hits the skate of Good. The goal has come loose.
Inside.
The order, it was knocked off by a Wildcat player, apparently, so they're going to face it off inside.
Wisconsin lost 3 straight games to finish off the season, but they came into this game 7-3-1 in their last 11. Currently ranked number 9 in the country. They're pretty concerned. Coach Sauer is thinking that, hey, we have to win at least 1 game in this WCHA tournament to hope for an NCAA bid. Something we haven't talked too much about either. But out of this tournament, the team that wins it automatically advances to the 12-team field in the NCAA tournament. That doesn't mean they'll be seeded number 1 or number 2 from the West. It just means they're automatically in. From there, the rest of the field is settled at large. Actually, each of the conferences, Hockey East, ECAC, and the Central Collegiate Association, their playoff champion gets the automatic berth. The other 8 teams come in from an at-large basis, and one of those 8 has to be an independent team. So there is an awful lot at stake in this tournament.
Let's go. Hit the breeze. It's right here.
Because of the logjam that we saw in those regular season final standings, that's why teams like Denver, Northern Michigan, and Wisconsin feel like they've really got to make a mark here this weekend in this tournament.
Yes.
To get, if not the automatic invitation, at least an invitation later as one of the at-large teams.
Absolutely. So there's a lot at stake in this tournament. It's just not the Broadmoor Trophy, which goes to the champ.
The general consensus is that the Gophers from Minnesota, win or lose in this playoff round, will be invited because of their excellent regular season record. Here's Curtis Joseph out to play a puck. 6 minutes left in regulation time, and the Wildcats lead 3-0. Chris Cancel to center ice, trying to get in, drops it to Shuchuk. He goes behind the net, and another pile-up.
That was a bad one, too. I hope they're both okay. Sagasor.
Inside. I know, I'm just making sure. Way to go, gentlemen. Thank you very much. That drove in.
Everybody is okay. Heavy collision, though. If you want to see more of the same kind of good, solid college hockey, tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time, Denver University, who finished 5th overall in the WCHA standings, will take on the University of Minnesota, currently tied with Harvard as a #1 ranked team in the country. That will be a dandy. Denver has been very hot down the stretch, and expect a good one tonight. Here's a circling the net play by Shuchuk, and you could just barely see the Northern player giving a little bit of a push to Tom Sagasaur as he crashed heavily into netminder Bill Pye. Pye never saw it coming. That was a bad part because he was watching Shuchuk circle the wagon.
Pye watching on as McDonald gets ready to face off against Phil Brown. And the draw to Northern Michigan. Here's Wawrinka. Out to Brown. His pass is deflected off of Weiss. And Sean Hill has it now. The freshman from Duluth East High School. On the near boards, lobbing it out at center ice. And it's shot right back in by Wawrinka. And an icing call here against the Wildcats.
Northern doesn't want to see too many of these come back into their own zone on an icing violation. They want to keep that play back in the neutral end of the rink or in the Wisconsin zone. Rick Comley has a golf handicap of 7. Not too bad.
I wonder how good Jim Rich's golf handicap is, Jim.
Oh, you don't want to know what my golf handicap is. I don't think they have enough numbers for that. But what I did want to talk about here a little bit was the hockey game. Was Wisconsin, they can't get the front of the net. They are not controlling that area. I'm watching down here from behind the net, and those Northern Michigan defensemen are keeping out the Badger forwards, allowing Billy Pye to see the shots, and that is going to make it really tough for Wisconsin in the final 5.5 minutes.
That's been their strong suit all game long, Jim. They've done a great job in front of Billy Pye. Puck cleared by the Wildcats over the glass, up out of play. And we'll have another stoppage. 5:18 left. It's going to take some doing now for the Badgers.
He's the most valuable player on their team. His goals against average and saves percentage were both 3rd overall in the WCHA this year. But his first game ever in the net as a Wildcat was a 10-2 loss against Minnesota.
Well, he's played in 38 of their 40 games this year. That is a long way to go in the WCHA. That's a lot of action.
Well, he's only a sophomore, too, so he's got 2 solid years ahead of him.
Now puck control by John Good, who shoots it to center ice. Picked up now by John Weiss of the Badgers. Hits the line. Spins away from one, checked, then ran into his own man. Wawrinka hustles it to the Wisconsin zone. Nearly broke free. Got it in front. And it's taken away by Andringa. Rob Andringa now throwing it ahead on the far boards. It's rushed in by Rollick. He fires a stick save by Pye, and the rebound goes behind the net. Rollick in the near corner. Back behind the net to Andringa. He's checked. Well covered and put down by Dean Antos. There's going to be a penalty coming up. I don't think out of that first collision, but out of another one. Wisconsin shooting, and as it's touched by Lamarck, we're going to have a tripping penalty coming up on the Wildcats.
I give the first guy the break for the hole, and you got to take him down. What'd you do that for? I give the first guy a break.
He's talking to Brad Wawrinka. Wawrinka was obviously getting the benefit of the doubt, but did one more thing, and as soon as Shepard said that, you could just see Wawrinka hang his head.
Boy, he doesn't get a tongue lashing like that from his mother.
Or his coach. There's the play. There's Antos back behind the net, tying up his man. Well, it looked like Antos was going to get the penalty, but Wawrinka's in the box. I think they got the wrong guy in there.
No, I think what happened, Wally, was that Shepard said that he gave Antos the break for the holding penalty, and then Wawrinka came along and tripped the guy up. So Wawrinka goes off.
15:34 is the time.
Timeout has been called. I'm going to suspect that it's been called by the Badgers here. Just to get strategy set. 4.5 minutes left. They need 3 goals. The last 3 power plays, the last 2 power plays the Badgers have had, we've said they've had to score. They haven't, and they're down 3-0.
Okay, so this time we don't tell them they have to. I think what you're going to see is a little bit different strategy by the Badgers. Sauer at this point just wants to calm the guys down, tell them, but don't get nervous. We still do have time in this game. Goals can come quickly. We've seen it happen so many times before. All they want to do is get this face-off, control it, get into the zone setup, and I think they might just try crashing the net a little bit. Try to work that puck down deep. They haven't been doing that against Northern in this game while on the power play.
Hansel, McDonald, Bice up front for the Badgers. Olsen and Petrasky, they're very steady defensemen, are out to kill the penalty for the Wildcats. There are those numbers that we were talking about.
Something that all the coaches are worried about too. You don't want to get into a game where you're going to get shorthanded that many times. That represents already 10 minutes of shorthandedness. Add 2 more now. That's 12 minutes out of the 60 minutes of the game.
If I have to come over here again, you're both going for delay. That's it. So you better stay here. Hey, I mean it, both of you.
I guess there's no question there. Hansel and Antos waiting for the face-off, and now Antos waved out. Being replaced by Plandowski.
But that's a big advantage. They skate a lot together, and they're both very good on the face-off, and Plandowski won it, firing at the center.
2-minute power play for the Badgers. 4:20 to go in the third period. Olsen trying to clear it, got past McDonald. Trying to get some help there from Plandowski, and now it's frozen. We'll face it off again.
Plandowski and Antos are their 2 best centermen on face-offs. And they become very critical at this time of the hockey game. Antos has not won a lot of face-offs in this period. Only 2 out of 7 draws he's taken. McDonald, who was in there for Wisconsin. Is that McDonald? No, it's not. It's Hansel in there for the face-off. McDonald is on the ice. But you see a situation now where you get 2 good face-off people from both teams out there. If one guy gets tossed, you can bring in the other one. That's why Hansel's in the circle right now. If he gets tossed, they can put in a good guy, McDonald, who has won 6 out of 8 face-offs.
Hansel wins this one. Here's Stanton. A shot deflected early on, and it hops into the corner. Antos tries to backhand it out. Stanton blocked it at the far point. Near board's now to McDonald. Power play for the Badgers. Mendel over to Stanton. Rob Mendel again. McDonald to Stanton. He fires. Tipped wide of the net. Petrasky had it but lost it. It was taken away by McDonald. Now Bice sent it to McDonald. A chip shot and a goal. On their 6th power play, the Badgers score. It's now 3-1 in favor of Northern Michigan.
Well, they did it by working down low, too, Frank. I think what they've been trying to do before was to put a guy about 10 feet out in front of the net. That's where Hansel was camped. But this time, they worked the baseline. McDonald straddling the line, saw the puck come over to the right-hand side of the net and move out in front right here. So he steps 1 step out, perfect pass, bang. And it's 3-1. 16:20 the time of this goal. And it does put Wisconsin right back into the contest. Wasn't a thing Billy Pye could have done about that. Pye gets his shutout bid ruined late in the game. He does have 1 on the year.
20th goal for McDonald. 13 of them have been on the power play. Golicki backhands it in. Now 3:20 to go in the third period. So they got the goal, but wasn't in time. Golicki centers it, and it just got away from Drake. That looked very harmless until the puck squirted through all Badger defenders. Shootchuk drops it back, and then it's swept away. Hansel behind the net, watched by Good. Far point, a blast by Decker, goes into the corner. Finally controlled by Golicki, who gets it to center ice. Osiki tried to break it up, but Drake brings it in. Now to Berger. Berger waits, Berger shoots. That hit Osiki, and Sagasor gets it out of the zone. 2:45 to go. Down by 2 goals. Will the Badgers pull Joseph and win? Olsen looking forward at center, but it comes back to Bice. Kicked all the way down the ice, no icing call. Olsen at the side of the net has trouble. Bice broke it up. Now to McDonald. Shot and a goal. Whoa. Freshman Doug McDonald has struck twice from the same spot on the ice. And now the Badgers are within one.
Talk about turning a game around. Doug McDonald got 42 points in 38 games this year. And here the Olsen coming straight up the middle, has a pass, bounce off the leg. Bice fires it across to McDonald, and he finishes it off with 2 goals in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Olsen's had a couple of problems today going up the middle. We've seen passes picked off there by him. And this time, he lost it in the skates of John Bice, who just picked up an assist on the power play goal, and will get a huge assist here, backhanding it across to the wide-open Doug McDonald. And now, a huddle around Jeff Sauer as they set up last-minute strategy with 2:25 remaining here in the third period. How things can happen.
Well, this game looked like it was over about 10 minutes ago, and now, as you can see by the score, it's anything but over. 2:25 left. That was one of the few times when the coverage broke down, as it did in so many areas of that slot of that last goal. Otherwise, the play in front of Billy Pye by the Wildcats has been near flawless.
Well, it just goes to show, Frank, you can't let up for a moment. Anything can happen in this game, and we said that just before Wisconsin scored their power play goal. A minute later, they get another one, and this is a whole different complexion to this hockey game. Jim Rich, what do you think about it?
Well, I tell you guys, the things that are happening now is that Northern Michigan's defense is not getting the puck out of the front of their net. All of a sudden, Wisconsin is coming up with it. And you remember way back at the beginning of the show, we showed you Rick Comley talking to his players. One name that came out in his mind was Doug McDonald. He was the man that he said his team has to control, and they haven't done that yet. And McDonald may bring his team back single-handedly. Frank?
All right, Jim, thanks very much. We get ready for the draw. It's been won by Antos. There's the time remaining in regulation time. Now it rolls to Antos, who breaks in, but he's well covered. Still battling for the puck, just carries it with his skates right into the corner. But here comes John Bice. The Badgers a goal away from tying this one up. John Good for the Wildcats playing it out. And then it's dumped right back in by Rob Mendel. And Warenka shoots it. Tried to shoot it out, but it hops out of play, and we'll just wait to see who it went off of.
Here in the late stages, he's a hero. He's just a freshman from Port Moody, British Columbia, but he scored 50 goals in junior hockey last year, so you know he's got the knack for the net. Doug McDonald equals Phil Berger's output. Berger with 2 goals and an assist for Northern Michigan in this game. And it looks like that assist has been the difference.
Again, Antos and McDonald. Draw to the Cats. They tip at the center ice. Hansel hammers it right back in. Bice goes for the rolling puck. Tied up by Warenka. Warenka is hit by McDonald. Then Rolick throws a hard hit into Antos. Bice farboard, centers it. Stanton, a wrist shot. High and out of play, and lots of traffic in front of Billy Pye again.
Rolick was upended.
Outside.
Greg Shepard wasn't going to call anything there, but Rolick was just trying to claim his turf. Northern Michigan was saying, pal, not here. Dumped them to the ice. You'll watch it in front of the net. There's Stanton back at the point calling for it. Watch Rolick trying to crash through right here, and he's upended by Brad Warenka. Warenka is getting a full game in for the Wildcats. He wears number 5 for them on defense. Last time we've seen him, he didn't get a lot of game action in, simply because he's got that ongoing problem that seems to affect a lot of hockey players, pulled stomach muscle. Really a difficult injury to heal, and you really have to play hurt if you're going to play. You know darn well that Brad Warenka is out here in this game tonight, and he's feeling some pain.
Top lines are out for both teams. Rolick, McDonald, Bice for the Badgers. Landowski, Antos, Lamarck for the Wildcats. 3-2 the score as you look at Doug McDonald. Now Landowski getting ready. 1:38 to go. And And the draw won by Plandowski. Warenka throwing it ahead for Lamarck, but he's muscled off the puck by Rollick. Hansel back in his own end. Under 90 seconds to play. Rollick from center ice shot it in. Warenka tried to get it out. Good does the job by banging it off the board. Hansel back at his own line. Wildcats making it save. Hansel gets it in. Watched on the far boards by Plandowski. Jacobson goes high to block it and clears it out. Curtis Joseph was about 40 feet out of his net, then he goes back in. 1 minute to go in regulation time as Stanton tried to jam it in. It's shot right back out, and now it's offside. Bill Berger wants an intentional offside, but you don't see that called anymore.
So when's he coming? He's taking a look towards the bench, but Jeff Sauer's going to wait to see who can control the faceoff. Bill Pye knows that he's going to see a lot of action come down at his end. All Wisconsin wants to do right now, Frank, is to win the draw and fire that puck deep into the northern zone. Then put on some heavy pressure. At this point, if you're the coach on the right, you got to have your best defenseman up there and just try to work it up the side boards, which Northern Michigan has been successful in doing here in the last 40 seconds. Wisconsin is winning the majority of the faceoffs here in the third period, and they become oh so critical at this point of the game. Gary Shuchek and Troy Jacobson will now square off.
From center ice, McDonald gets the puck, and it's cleared right back out. Dumping it back in. High shooting it around. Joseph is off. Hansel's the extra skater. Far corner. Mendel plays it to Hansel, who fires. That hits traffic. Rebound of the Wildcats. They've got Berger at center. They find him. His backhand. A goal! A hat trick for Berger, and that should put it away.
Just 24 seconds remaining. I think at times, Frank, maybe somewhat of a gamble by putting Phil Berger out there. Not the best defensive player on the team. He's known for his offense. But there's a good reason you put a guy like that out there. He's got a knack for the net. And here's a prime example why. Jacobson sees him. He doesn't even look. He did not take a look. He just knew where the net was, backhanded it, and it went almost directly in the middle of the net. 4-2. That's why a guy like Phil Berger scores a lot of goals.
Wild's finish to this hockey game. In a span of 3 minutes and 16 seconds, we've had 3 goals. Culminated here with the 27th of the year by Berger. And the hat trick should put Northern Michigan into the conference championship final tomorrow night. Long shot by Stanton deflects wide of the net. 10 seconds remain. It's centered for Stanton again. He has spun off the puck, a shot right on, and Pye makes the save. There's 5 seconds left.
Shut up!
Greg Shepard hasn't lost his enthusiasm.
Well, he's done a good job maintaining control, too. Maybe that's the way you have to do it, is just yell at these guys. He just wants to get it over.
May have played a good game, but Greg Shepard doesn't care. Keep your yaps shut. That's Warenka yelling at him now in the middle of that pile. And he was told to get out of here. So he does. He left.
Okay, I gotta blow the whistle. He's in the corner. Hey, guys, right here. Hey, I don't want you chopping him. Okay, come on, guys.
They just want to get it over with.
One guy.
Only 5 seconds left. There isn't going to be anything Wisconsin can do to decide the outcome of this one.
Well, the Wildcat band didn't show up here until the second period, but they're making most of the noise now. A jubilant bunch.
8 o'clock tonight is the second semifinal game. The Denver Pioneers against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. We'll have all the action, 8 o'clock Central Time. Join us on our flagship station, Fox 29, throughout the WCHA Playoff Network.
Shuchek in for the faceoff for Wisconsin. Plandowski for the Wildcats. And the draw to the Wildcats. The time runs down, and that's it. Northern Michigan advances to the conference playoff championship finals tomorrow night.
Rick Comley last night was named WCHA Coach of the Year. Ralph Backstrom, coach of Denver, though, I thought had a very interesting comment. He says, hey, enjoy it while you can, because remember what happened to Tom Landry of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, the Badgers will not have a chance to defend their Broadmoor Trophy championship from last year. But look at the smiles on the faces of the Wildcats now as they begin the traditional handshake. Billy Pye, star of the game. And boy, has he got a leg up on tournament MVP honors for one-game performance.
He's got his number shaved into the side of his head, and maybe that's got a dual purpose, his number plus where they want to be at the end of this tournament.
Oh, absolutely. Wildcats 4-2 winners.
Wildcats a big improvement over last year. They had 32 points and were 6th in the league. This year they had 42 points and were 2nd in the league. Came in winning 3 straight games, but they lost 2 playoff games against Wisconsin last year in the best-of-3 series. And this year, they have got sweet revenge.
Well, you mentioned that Berger had no hat tricks after getting 7 last year. He gets his first of the season this afternoon in a very timely manner as he leads the Wildcats to a 4-2 win over the Badgers. Stay right with us.
Like it's back and it's better than ever. It's the 1989 MTV Spring Break Beach Party.
And we want you to be part of the fun and excitement.
There are going to be lots of tubular contests and lots of rad prizes.
There'll be prizes for like the baddest beach boy and surfer girl.
And like the best and the gnarliest tan.
And the best swimsuit.
Ugly shorts.
Tacky shirts.
And the best beer belly.
And of course the limbo.
And we'll have like local hourly updates taped to Spanky's and like broadcasts on MTV.
Like it may be chilling outside, but it's going to be hot inside Spanky's Lounge.
MTV Beach Party brought to you by like the cool folks at Present Communications and these great sponsors.
Downwind Sports.
Teletronic Discount Records.
Pal Marquette.
Blisters Gym.
Scott Clothiers.
The Body Shop.
Vogue Incorporated Stores.
Getz's.
LRN Distributing.
Golden Touch.
Frito-Lay.
And like Holiday Inn.
Take care. We'll see you there.
When your car's been damaged, you want it repaired quickly and the job done right. At North Central Collision, they specialize in collision repair. Their experienced technicians are trained on the most advanced equipment. Exact measurements are crucial when restoring vehicles to their original factory specs, and that's why they use the Kansas Jack World Rack 2000 and laser measuring system, ensuring precise 2- and 4-wheel alignments. They also provide fast, accurate estimates, and their work is guaranteed. Join the customers who trust their cars to North Central Collision, where you know the job's done right.
4-2, Northern Michigan wins this first semifinal game of the 1989 WCHA Playoff Championship. Had an early 3-0 lead, really had to hang on to that one. And boy, what a great dramatic finish for an opening telecast. Hope all 4 games are as exciting as this one turned out to be.
Oh, if they are, it's going to be excellent. And we also saw some very good defensive play on behalf of both teams. It might have seemed slow at times to some people watching the game through the first half, where it was only a 1-0 hockey game in favor of Northern, but we really saw some good defensive play on behalf of both teams, and that's what I liked. It was just good hockey. At times we saw very wide open, but maybe get one shot and nothing to follow up. Good defensive coverage, and that's what you have to have when you're playing at this level.
Been close all year long for these two teams. As we mentioned, 3 of their 4 regular season games went to overtime. This one nearly went to overtime as well. 4-2, of course, is the final, but there was an empty net goal in there as well. And I guess perhaps, Wally, one thing that bothered the Badgers is that they needed that offensive punch earlier in the game, but it's just not an offensive-type hockey team to come up with that kind of scoring.
No, it's not. It's down considerably from last year, over 35 goals, but you lose guys like Tuttle, Ranheim, Tony Granato. You know, those are big guys out of the lineup that took away a lot of the offensive ability. Jeff Sauer knew that coming into the season, and he concentrated with a more defensive type of team, but you always hope you got that magic guy that can come through and pick up those goals for you, the slack. I think he's found one in Doug McDonald. He got the 2 goals this afternoon. He's got over 20 in the year. He's just a freshman. He's going to have a very fine career at Wisconsin.
All right, we have Jim Rich down at ice level, and he's waiting with the hero of this one, Billy Pye, along with his coach.
We got a lot of heroes for you, Frank and Wally. We have Billy Pye, Coach Rick Comley, and, of course, Phil Berger, who had the hat trick. And first of all, Phil, just about this hockey game, your team coming in here, how prepared were you for this semifinal game?
Basically, we prepared all year for this. You know, our goal was to get here, and, you know, we did. We had a tough week of practice. We knew what we had to do. We knew Wisconsin as a team. We played them 4 times already. It was just a matter of putting to work, you know, the stuff that we had worked on, and fortunately, the pucks went in the net tonight against Curtis Joseph. In other games that we had played him, it hadn't gone in.
Did you think about that at all? He was undefeated against you guys. You'd beaten Dirksen, and you hadn't gotten to Curtis Joseph before.
Well, you have to think about it, but we tried not to. We just put it in our back of our heads that he's just another goalie. We got to go out and get a goal early in the game, and we did that tonight, and that helped our confidence out a little bit to know that we could score on him. And, you know, the fact that Billy played a great game tonight, keeping the pucks out of our net until the very end there, you don't know what to say. We're just happy we won.
All right, now that last year you had such a phenomenal year. You had 7 hat tricks. This year you hadn't gotten one until tonight. We got to look at your first goal here. Describe just what happened on this play.
Phil Sukaroff poked the puck past Wisconsin defense with our blue line. Jake was going down the far boards, and I'd say 10 times out of 10, Jake's going to pass me the puck, and we get near the net. And he made a great pass over, and I just one-timed it, and Curtis came across, and he just beat him under the glove.
How about the team this year? You yourself saying that this year things have gone better for you, even though you haven't scored the number of points as you did a year ago. Why is that?
Well, because the team won this year. Basically, when you play hockey, you really want your team to do well, and despite all the things that I did last year in the points, it really can't say it was a fulfilling year because, you know, we finished 7th place, and we were done after the first round of the playoffs. You know, I said at the beginning of the year this year, if I score 1 goal and we make it to the NCAA Final Four, I'll be happy. And right now I'm happy despite what's happened.
All right, thanks, Phil, very much. Also with us is Coach Rick Comley. And, Coach, just your team's effort here this afternoon. Did they play this game the way you asked?
I thought we played very tight for 2 periods. Played like a nervous hockey team that was down in a building like this for the first time. And Billy Pye stood in his lips, you know, use a hockey phrase, and he was just outstanding. They outshot us, and Billy's done that for us all year. Phil came through with a big effort. I thought we played very well in the 3rd period. I think if they hadn't got the power play opportunity late in the hockey game, that we probably wouldn't have had as tough a win as it turned out to be. But these 2 teams match up very well. They have all year, you know, and the thing it does for us, and we came in here with a realistic nature, believe me. We knew if we won this game, it would guarantee us an NCAA berth. Now we get a chance to play for a league championship tomorrow, and knowing that we have that in our hip pocket.
What's been the biggest difference in this team? Last year you finished 7th, this year you're 2nd, and now you're playing for the playoff championship.
I think you just heard the gentleman to my right give you a pretty good explanation. I think last year, you know, we had some individual things go well, not team things go well. I think we came back this year with very solid goaltending, with a defensive commitment from a hockey team, put individual goals aside. And, you know, when Phil says this year doesn't go well, I mean, he's got 27 goals. I mean, that's a lot of goals. When you get 40, you know, that's a bad number to compare to. I just think it's that commitment to the team.
How about tomorrow night in the championship game? You said your team was nervous this game. Do you feel that there'll be any nervousness at all tomorrow night?
I don't think there has to be. I think the ultimate goal is the NCAA tournament, and I think we qualified for that tonight, so I think that's out of the way, and now we can just go at Minnesota and see what happens.
All right, best of luck to your team tonight. And Billy Pye, you had a great game. What were you feeling tonight going in the net?
I don't know. I just wanted to just play the basic stand-up game, and hopefully things would go my way. And, you know, they went the way. The team still played great. I don't think I had that, maybe a couple breakaways, but that's about it. I thought the team was just great in front of me, and it was just a great effort out there.
We have one of those saves for you. It was one of those breakaways. Greg Poss coming in here. Just what happened in your eyes?
I just wanted to let him make the first move, and he just happened just to shoot it right in my pads. And, you know, what can you say? He made the first move, and I just stood there. So there's nothing to do with that one.
Here's another save you had, too. The guys were really working the puck well, and yet you came up with a big save here.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was a giveaway, and I just came out at him, and, you know, hopefully he shoots the puck, and he shot the puck, and I just happened to catch with my left foot, and I got it.
Phil Berger's just saying, thank God you were there to make that save because he gave the nice centering pass away.
Oh, that's all right. I'll give him 3 goals.
Billy considers one-on-one shots easy shots, whether they're breakaways or not. So he's had an unbelievable year. He finished 2nd in the conference in MVP voting. There's no player in this league that means more to their team than he does to ours.
All right, congratulations, Billy Pye, Rick Comley. Phil Berger, you still had the hat trick even though you gave that one away.
The hockey coach at Marquette High School, and we, along with the rest of the Channel 8 crew, are pleased and proud to bring you live coverage of the WCHA Championship game.